Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Spring 2016 Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 Relay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we'll have a bunch of new faces pairing off, and as well as some of the originals, like eLmaGus. And we're hoping to have some epic times today. There's been a lot of strategies that have been developed, especially in Final Fantasy V, that really save a lot of time compared to the last time this relay was done. So hopefully we'll have a great race, and it's going to be pretty legitimately awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and transition over, and probably going to have to tweak some stuff before we can get going. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah, doing alright.
Nice and early, ready to go.
I'm ready to see what horrible things this game has in store for me for the next 3.5 hours.
I don't know. Trash can right now is always fun in relays if people are doing that. Obviously, holding up the step route and dying to Zeromus. Those are probably the big ones for me.
Yeah, because dying to Zeromus is a good 10 minutes or so down the drain, and it's not just a race, it's a relay race, so having to pass it off to the FF5 crew with that kind of a loss would be pretty tough. That's if you only die once, too.
That's true.
Getting level 19 Kane might be interesting. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do mimic strats against Milon Z. I was in something earlier this week, and I ended up having an 8-minute battle with Milon Z because trash can failed. It's kind of scared me a little.
Yo, sounds like RPG Live Break for me all over again.
Oh baby.
Sorry, just some last minute cropping here.
Let it go.
OBS is not behaving. Alright, so what team's gonna win, guys? Straight up.
JerkBird!
There you go.
I mean, thing.
I mean, he's not gonna call out their own team, right? So.
Ultros Boogie will always win.
Alright, well, we are 1 minute past, so are we ready to start, guys?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Ready to go.
I'll get you guys started. I'll fix a couple more cropping things, but alright,
Cool.
So Roth's ready. No Cash Rivers ready?
Yes, sir.
Rivers? Not hearing Rivers. I don't want to start without Rivers being here, because that would be rude. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Alright, in that case, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, guys.
Good luck, everybody.
Good luck,
Good luck.
everybody.
Let's do this.
Thanks, Milon Z.
Nice. All right. So
He just wants to keep that cold mountain warm with our bodies.
good luck, gents.
What is going on? Oh, I see. Whoops.
This is actually a pretty exciting relay, I would say, especially for 4 and 5. We got a lot of runners now that are close to each other in time and skill, so it should be pretty dang different than what we've seen before. On top of new tech, of course, which we'll get to as it comes along. But in the meantime, just make sure to give a lot of love here to our 4 FF4 runners here. We got my man Rivers up here in the top left, which is already labeled. We got, let's see here, puwexil here in the top right, the Roth on the bottom left, and Mr. No Cash on the bottom right. Let's give these guys some love. They're about to kick as much butt as the game is going to allow them to, I think. I don't know here, did Rivers get like a late start here, or is it more of my stream's all whack?
I think he was a little bit late.
Is he having mic issues or something? Or just passing on being on the call?
I guess
Here,
that's
he
issues.
must be having mic issues or Discord issues or something or other than that. We won't know, since he's got to play now as well. But anyway, we can dive right into stuff right here. So I got to watch them. But, none of you did, because you had the splash screen. But all 4 of these guys we're setting up what we call Seed 92. They might have used one of 2 methods. It kind of doesn't really matter. But this game, based on the frame you load the game from the splash screen, will determine what seed you start off on. Every single seed maps out its encounters on a different variety of steps. It could be all in the beginning, it could be all in the end. They could be spread out nice and evenly. It kind of just doesn't matter. And it just so happens that on Glorious Seed 92, most of the encounters are towards the end here. So what they'll actually be able to do is skip over a few encounters here in Baron because you can't get any, but from there, they won't actually see any between leaving Baron and after the Mist Dragon, which is cool. We really want to minimize encounters across the board. They all take time, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, whatever. But obviously that can add up. So anything you can do to lower the amount of time it takes you to beat the game, obviously, the better off you are. You'll see them take 1 extra step as well. Kind of like, why would they do that? Because they could actually get an encounter right on the very first step with the Fiends. So they're going to make sure that doesn't happen. On their way out, they're going to grab this tent here yourself. puwexil will do it. And Roth's on his way right now for a little clip they're going to use later. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of business as usual, sort of. The first several minutes are all about cutscenes and walking around, but it actually does matter. The frame is going to keep counting as they play, and everybody actually is going to be gunning for a specific seed again afterwards. So actually how long they take here, depending on the player, will matter. I know Roth's all about that stuff. Maybe not anybody else. They can probably tell me if they so desire, but I know Roth's like mashing and whatnot is ridiculously consistent and planned out because he kind of has a time frame for how long he wants to take this.
Yeah, and doing it that way means having to have all of your movement buffered too.
Yeah, it's kind of a different level of serious at different points in time for these players, I would say. They all kind of have their little tricks and whatnot.
It's a relay. It's definitely not going to work.
But you gotta go for it anyway, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always kind of a rough thing, especially in a scenario like this, where not only do you want to play well, but you gotta hand it off to someone else. All that risk versus reward factors that'll go in here, and we might
Probably wouldn't
see
hurt to explain the category we're playing too before the
Sure,
intro
sure.
wraps up too.
The category we'll be playing on this game is referred to as any percent no 64. So we're still trying to beat the game as fast as possible, and glitches and skips and whatnot are allowed, except for the use of the 64 floor glitch, which would allow you to skip content in the game, either by warping around and then using glitch spells to beat the game, or relatively new now is to still use the 64 door glitch to just call up the credits, neither of which are going to be seen here today. You will see the quote-unquote full game here. It will be getting all the way to Zeromus and killing him with mostly legitimate means, I'll say.
Check.
He's alive.
Go.
We're almost ready for the action here. Everybody is kind of going through the scrolling text here that is everybody's favorite. You'll see the same trend throughout the entire day. FF5 doesn't really have a shortened category, so they'll just be beating that as fast as possible in around hopefully less than 4 hours. And then FF6 kind of do the same thing. Glitches will be allowed, but nothing that allows anybody to skip major content. So that will be 80% no sketch. People will talk about that as we get there. FF4 is also the only game where battle speed affects everybody, enemies and your own party members. So I know Roth already did it. The other fellas will probably be doing it as soon as this scrolling text is over. They will be changing all game speeds to 1, which is the fastest to make the game run faster. From there, they are going to walk directly towards the Chocobo Forest outside of Baron. Not only do they, run faster, but you won't get encounters either. So, not that it wouldn't matter, but. And another thing you're going to see too is a little friendly thing that everyone should be doing, which should be changing their menu colors to their team theme. Everyone should be doing it, so no one's really losing time against each other. So what we ought to see here is this nice casual walk through the Mist Cave with nothing happening. We should be able to walk through here with no encounters. It should just be a straight walk over to the Mist. Most of the time differences here for everybody as well is based upon kind of like different start times. Well, I don't think really anybody's actually ahead of each other at this point.
So let's go ahead and introduce these runners. Top left, we have RPG Tournament Phenom, Rivers McCown, on Team NightBat. Top right, on Team Wyverns, the Final Fantasy SNES Relay staple, we have puwexil, who I believe is debuting for this team. Bottom left, we have the current world record holder for this category, and almost every other Final Fantasy IV category in the Roth, on Team JerkBird. And on the bottom right, we have Team Chupon. We have No Cash, who is the second place on the leaderboard. But anything can happen in these runs, so it'll be exciting to see for sure. So one of the important things the runners are going to be doing in this fight is after timing their jump to where Kane will land after the dialogue occurs, they're also going to be duping the Shadow Shield. You notice they're all doing that little inventory flippity floppity thing, and what that does is it actually tricks the game into basically taking one off of an empty slot, and by unequipping the shield into that slot later, it actually tricks the game into allowing you to sell 65,535 of a single shield. So poor Town of Mist gets, taken out completely. We steal all their money and then we burn their village down, it's all good. One other thing you're going to be seeing right here is the runners are going to be doing what's called the missed clip, and so you're able to interrupt steps by going into the menu in this game, and if you do something after that that like stops the step completely, like using a tent or saving the game, you can actually shift the world map over a little bit, and that allows you to like step over event triggers. And by stepping over event triggers, you can actually like step onto a town and like not trigger an event, like not trigger entering a town or not trigger an event that's going to happen on the world map. And so what this allows you to do is to enter Mist from the opposite side, and normally you wouldn't be able to enter the town of Mist until much later in the game, but because they are able to get into Mist, they're able to get to some higher tier equipment that normally isn't available until in the speedrun about 2 hours in, or probably almost halfway through the game. So it's really handy for a speedrun to be able to do this, on top of having infinite money for all your money needs, monetary needs. So it's really good across the board. And you also might have noticed that I believe puwexil, and I'm not sure if Rivers did it as well, that some of them were powered off for a while. You saw no signal for a while on puwexil stream. That's because they're, as Bick mentioned earlier, they're trying to hit a particular seed upon reloading the game, and in order to do that, based off of, if you were to soft reset, it's based off of how many frames have passed, but if you power off the console and then wait a specific amount of time for the RAM to clear, it actually resets that value to something consistent, so you can try and time on the title screen what seed you're going to get. So looks like all runners didn't have any problems with misclips, so that's good. And now we're burning down villages.
We sure are. Just to kind of help you guys keep track of stuff, Rivers is about 12 seconds timer-wise behind everybody else. Trying to keep track a little bit better, especially before anybody splits. Just keep that in mind. Everybody else is probably within a few seconds of each other, but for whatever reason, you got a little bit of a late start. One other thing you're about to see here is kind of like what you would figure is dead time. If you're familiar with the game, it's like, oh yeah, you look at Titan and you get quaked and you just sit there and it's a cutscene basically. But in a way, it's not. This game, you really need to make use of a lot of item and inventory management, like a ton of it. And you're going to be seeing that a lot throughout the entire game. Or during an animation, they're going to duck into a menu and start sorting stuff around. The game will pause, if you will, when you're in the menu, but not while something's already going on. So like while Quake's going on, they can move stuff freely. But obviously they need to get the heck out of there once the animation's over, or else they'll sit in the battle indefinitely. It's just a good way to help save some time over the course of the run as you gain new stuff and stop needing certain other things. They won't actually sell anything, really, for the most part. You want to get stuff that's not useful out of the way. We got our first back attack already. Nice. What is that? No cash, right out there in the desert. And then Roth follows here with the surprise attack, so that's fun. We'll get into that in a moment. But you're going to put stuff that you don't ever want again towards the bottom, and stuff you do want towards the top, just so you can get to it a lot faster and save some time on the overall. One of the biggest RNG factors in this game is not encounters per se. You're going to get them, and with Step Route, they'll minimize the total amount that they get. But currently, what cannot be controlled, at least consistently, is what kind of battle you get. Could be a normal battle, could be a strike first, could be a surprise, could be a back attack. Anything that's not a normal encounter will lose you time, especially a surprise or back attack, because the enemies will get to go first before you get thrown away. So one of the main things here that will drive any FF4 runner insane is how many back attacks and surprise attacks they get. And we already got one for Roth and no cash, so we'll see how the rest of our runners fare for the rest of the 3 hours. Hopefully less than 3 hours. With this guard fight too, casually you probably are also thinking, you just fight a couple guards, easy, but there's actually tech here too, so you're seeing they're trying to run away from a battle that's inescapable. Not because they're scared, but because that's actual tech as well. When the message comes up, you actually halt your enemy ATB, but you still get to put your inputs in. So it really lets you get your turns a little bit ahead of them. And as long as their ATB lines up well, you'll actually be able to kill all 3 guards before any of them do anything, which could save you some time. But if you do get attacked, it's typically not your fault. You can't really control enemy agility or ATB. So it's just one of those things.
So here you'll see the runners equipping Rydia with the tiara. They pulled that out of her house as they raided the town of Mist, and what that does for the runners is it really, not only does it increase Rydia's magic power, which really isn't effective at this point in the game, but the defensive abilities of that tiara really come in handy, especially against the upcoming boss, Octomom, as well as more bosses in the future. That allows the runners to keep Rydia at level 1. It doesn't keep her safe per se, but it definitely gives her more survivability than she has without. There's always a chance that Octomom is a jerk and decides to snipe Rydia, but instead of doing anywhere from 16 to 40 damage, he does 1 to 18. And with 30 HP, it's a big deal for Rydia, especially since with the Dancing Dagger, she becomes the primary damage dealer for the party at this point in time. So we are into the tent cave. We find this crazy old man, Tellah. And an interesting thing is, you noticed how the runners did the mist clip. You can totally keep walking past mist and just continue on your way. But for whatever reason, Tellah actually doesn't load until the Destruction of Mist event occurs. And so you can actually, just keep moseying on, with Cecil and Kane. Tellah's not even standing there. You can beat Octomom, continue all the way through, but then when you get to Damsian and the Spoony Bard cutscene, the game actually softblocks because you don't have Tellah.
It's looking like either 41 or 42 for me.
Almost. 43 is the magic number our gents want to hit. This has the best layout for encounters and they'll save the most time, but at the end of the day, there's plenty of other RNG that can help our racers get ahead or fall behind.
I've got seed 44.
Oh man. I believe No Cash said he had 52. I wonder what Rivers has.
I think
It
Rivers
should
is in
be-
the 40s at least,
Nice.
judging by the looks of his initial encounters. I don't specifically know what seed he has though.
Yeah, so what this means is whatever number they are off from 43, it's just how many frames they are off. We're talking like a fraction of a second or maybe just over a second depending on where they are. So pretty dang close, but it can be hard to hit like, the exact frame for a lot of reasons obviously. But we should be seeing a fairly simple walk here. Yeah, our gentlemen will be getting different encounters from different spots, but theoretically, roughly the same amount on their way to Octomom. So, oof,
Yeah.
Roth.
It's 42.
Roth with another back attack or surprise attack here. Let's just set him back some. I guess what's rough also is, there's no necessarily any logic to like what seeds are good or bad. It's just kind of the lay of the land. And what's kind of funny, I suppose, is that 43 is just super good, but then some of the seeds right around 43 are not so good. So it's not about like, oh, well, at least they got close sometimes. Sometimes you almost wish you didn't get close, because some of those seeds around there, if I recall correctly, are not amazing. We're going to make one little pit stop out of the way, and that's to grab the Darkness Sword. Octomom does have a weakness to Dark or Shadow, or whatever you want to call it. So, on top of the sword, of course, having more attack power as well. So Cecil will be able to bust out a little bit more damage. Yeah, it's however many extra steps, but it's absolutely worth it.
Just judging from a purely aesthetical standpoint, it looks like No Cash kind of got a little bit of the short end of the stick. It's really hard to see those darkened out items in inventory with that brown background. So that's a little unfortunate, but taking one for the team.
Support your boys. A shout.
Yeah, that color is awful.
So we're coming up to the...
FF4 can have its demon chocobo background equivalent after all. Anyway, go ahead.
So we're coming up to the Octomom fight. Looks like Roth is actually going to be the first one with No Cash right behind him. Ooh, unlucky Roth. And so the way the Octomom fight works is every 2 hits, Octomom will lose a tentacle down to 1, and Octomom starts the fight with super high agility, faster than Zeromus at the last boss in the game. But for every hit that Octomom hits, a tentacle disappears and agility drops by 5. And so you want to land as many hits on Octomom as possible early on in order to slow Octomom down so he stops getting so many turns. Otherwise, he can snipe Rydia like he did on Roth's side there. And what's actually really interesting about this fight is eventually, because the Lit 1 animation from Tellah takes so long, it's actually faster to have him stop himself and just have him not get turns at all than it is for him to do anything. And that's after like 2 or 3 Lit 1s. Octomom's agility drops low enough to where you're doing enough damage, you're getting enough turns to continue to drop the tentacles as well as deal out the damage. And Tellah doesn't do nearly as much damage as Cecil and Rydia do in this fight. Rydia is obviously the primary damage dealer, with Dancing Dagger doing anywhere from 128 to 280. And then Cecil's melee attacks are doing anywhere from 100 to about 212 with a crit. So, yeah, so this can be a really trolly fight, especially if Octomom just keeps going for Rydia and keeps hitting her for high damage. There's just really nothing you can do about that. Another trolly thing about this game is that the Life 1 spell in this fight can miss. So you're like, okay, I'm going to pick her back up. We're going to be right on track. Nope, Life missed.
Wow, that two tentacle kill.
Yeah, so puwexil jumps ahead here, mostly on RNG. Like, even if Rydia doesn't get bopped, the amount of damage, as Neerrm said, there's a damage range, especially for Rydia, and you can see a bunch of 100s from her, or you can see a bunch of 200s from her, and all of these small things really do make a difference. As puwexil was behind, but kills Octomom earlier than everybody else. Like you can tell, he got it before Octomom even went down to 1 tentacle.
Yeah, I think I also had 24 steps to take in the waterfalls too. I don't know about the other guys.
I believe Roth only had 2, but I
also had 24 steps to take.
You could technically use the same mechanics as the mist clip to actually clip through the cutscene that where Dempsey gets bombed, but that requires a reset, which will put everybody off to a different seed, and then their step route will be different from there. So you won't actually be seeing that, but you could do it if you wanted to.
So you just saw, there's been a lot of talk of step route. You just saw No Cash walk back and forth for a pretty extended period of time. That's all to manipulate the number of encounters and to potentially set up for, almost a little over 2 hours into this run. They're going to be looking for a particular fight in order to grind out a bunch of levels. And everything, all the extra steps they're taking in all these random places are actually completely planned out, and it's strategized to get that encounter as well as minimize the number of other encounters you get throughout the run.
We have like a
famous
pair of,
lines in
like,
FF4.
sinks. This is kind of funny. Like, puwexil and No Cash are in the same part of the bard fight. Rivers and Roth are in the same part of the bard fight. I'm happy to tell y'all folks that if you ever just hated Edward and thought he sucked balls. That it's no longer the case here in the speedrun. He's actually pretty good. Now, it's easy to think too that it's cutscene time. You know, it's break time for our players, and it might be depending on who you are. I mean, it would be for me, but mashing in this game is kind of a weird thing. All the text draws at once, pretty much, but it has this weird scrolly function. So, while text is still scrolling, your mashing doesn't necessarily matter, but you can't get lazy either. You also want to make sure you're mashing right, or you're advancing the text right as it comes up. So this is one of those weird things you don't think about at all. It's like, scrolling text. You can actually make a difference too. Someone could catch up, and it actually has happened in past relays as well, where a particular person was very casual about it, and someone else wasn't, and that was a big part of why they caught up over the course of the game. And I know Neerrm can speak from experience here. Everybody's mashing is really good, and then raw smashing, for whatever reason, is just even better somehow, some way.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun things about the RPG Limit Break race, being able to watch, everybody at like the same time, and like just the intro alone, which is like 6 minutes into the game, Roth was already 3 seconds ahead of me on mashing alone, and I'm like, what? What's going on? So he's a crazy guy.
Yeah, he is. Like, every little thing counts. You want to take this game seriously. You want to gun for not only the best possible time you can get, but the best possible time in general. And every little thing counts. And oh my gosh, friggin' Roth here with the luck. Roth's already on his third back attack. I believe No Cash is still at 1.
Been a good introduction.
Yeah. puwexil, have you gotten any so far? I don't think I saw any. But...
I have not.
I don't think Rivers have either.
So
Let's
along
see
the
if
way,
commentator curse sticks.
So along the way in this Antlion cave, there's a chest that has a life item in it, and that's the only way you have of reviving anybody. So you can either take a chance and not pick it up, and just pray that you don't get back attacked and your characters don't get sniped, or you can just pick it up and hope for the best. Roth actually getting another back attack here and losing Edward. I'm not sure if he picked up the life or not.
Nah.
Uh-oh.
There's not a lot of grinding in this game at all, especially along the run. So Edward being dead and not getting the experience from Antlion is not a great thing. It's not a horrible thing, but it's not a great thing. Otherwise, from oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
Sweating.
Otherwise, the Antlion fight should be relatively simple. You probably remember that he needles you every time you hit him, and it's like, wow, I have no hit points. How are you supposed to do this? He actually only does that if you hit him physically. And if you use dancing daggers, it counts as a magic attack, so there will be none of that going on. It should be 3 daggers to kill him. If not, it will be 4, and it's a really, really simple fight. Even with Roth's messed up party, it should be easy. The only thing that sucks, as I mentioned before, is that Edward's not going to get any experience from this battle. And that can make things dangerous for the next fight, because we definitely want an HP total that's safe from Op-On. So you're going to be seeing a big factor in FF4. You see it already. Roth is substantially behind the other two, puwexil and Cash, of no fault of his own. Just actually, he's behind everybody, and it's no fault of his own. There's nothing he could do.
I could have grabbed the life item though and cured up with Rhea.
True.
She does have cure 1.
But that would have helped with Edward, but not necessarily with where you are time-wise. So it's one of those things. But yes, that was a safer choice in terms of next boss. So, well, we'll see what happens. As we mentioned before, risk versus reward is going to come up a lot, and we'll kind of see what our runners will do, because in a PB attempt, yeah, it's cool to be risky, but in a race. Maybe not so much. Just depends. But if anybody remembers, last relay Roth was also behind and then came back with a vengeance. So who knows, man? Who knows? Or maybe puwexil and No Cash will keep their bit of a lead here. I don't know. We got a lot of game left, so who knows?
Yeah, you never do know with this game, which is part of the fun and part of the frustration.
Yeah, one thing about running this game is like, I guess compared to some other RPGs, like your Lufia 2 or Chrono Trigger, where you can manipulate damage rolls and you generally have an idea of how a fight's going to go. In this game, there's no absolute manipulation. Obviously, you're going to have a strategy going into different battles, and you have a way you hope things go, but there's always that stroke of, oh no, this happened, now I have to adjust. And to me, that's what makes this game super interesting. Is like there's always that that factor of being able or having to adapt going forward, and it can make things super interesting and obviously super frustrating if things aren't going the way you planned it. So here we have the epic showdown with Edward and the Water Hag. This is a scripted battle where the Water Hag will immediately die after 3 successful attacks from Edward. The Water Hag actually has more HP than Zeromus. It's maxed out 65,535. So pretty epic boss here. But fortunately, Edward's able to take care of business. You know, final boss status, nah, no big deal. Edward's got this. And previously, before, if you're doing like a glitchless run of this, or if you're way in the past before we grabbed Dancing Daggers, this fight's actually ridiculously difficult, just because Edward has a harp, and the harps have really crappy accuracy, and so it really only takes three good hits from Water Hag, and Edward might die. So if Edward decides to miss any of his attacks, then you're screwed. There's nothing you can do about it. And so that was
especially with 60 hit points.
Yes, without Dancing Daggers, he's probably Antlion food too.
Yeah, luckily I remembered to equip him with a Dancing Dagger.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Stranger things have happened, man.
That's right, we'll go for world record back attacks. I think I'm at 5 already.
Jeez. Well, one of my practice runs I had 7 in a row in the Tower of Babil.
Yeah, I think No Cash on one of his runs back in the day was 8 in there. It was driving him nuts. It's pretty rough. Hopefully everybody has a nice casual walk here to Mom Bomb. There's probably no actual place you can't get trolled in this game.
Very true.
Hopefully, yeah.
So
It's one of those things you take for granted, but it can happen anywhere.
it certainly is. So coming up, we have the Mom Bomb battle, which is where Karate Man Yang gets introduced, and so this is like a 2-part fight, where the first one is a fight you have absolutely no control over, where Yang beats up some imps. Unfortunately, Yang doesn't always beat up the imps as fast as we want. It can take anywhere from 3 turns to 5 turns. 5 turns is just an basically an uncontrollable, 30-second loss. You just out of your hands. Yang decided to be a jerk, and on top of that, Mom Bomb can also troll a little bit. Depending on the Dancing Dagger damage, it's a 2-phase fight where you need to deal 800 damage to the first form, and then she explodes into 6 bombs, and you have to take out all the bombs. And so Mom Bomb can If she wants, she can decide to snipe one of the lower HP characters, which is really unfortunate because even at this point you don't have a way to resurrect if you didn't pick up the life, and that can be really rough. So this is a fight where you can do nothing wrong and still lose a ton of time at no fault of your own. And Roth is setting the record for most amount of back attacks.
Dude, stop it, Roth. Stop it.
Yes.
The double whammy is that not only does he lose time for the back attack, but he loses time healing. However, that's still a lot better than someone dying, because unless he grabbed the life on the way out, then he actually has 0 way to revive anybody right now.
I have 0 way.
Okay, yeah. Ironically, I think Rosa learns life right after Mom Bomb.
Does she? Well, there you go.
I believe
That's awesome.
so. I believe so. Well, this is a little bit of RNG you got to deal with. You really want to run one round Mom Bomb for that 800 and hope she doesn't hit one of your squishies, but from there, it's kind of straightforward. Once the bombs explode, you queue up a Q with Yang, or queue up a kick with Yang to put a little bit of damage on the orange ones, and then pick them off one by one, dancing on the grays, regular attacks on the oranges because they have less HP. And again, you just kind of hope they don't pick off Rydia or Edward. Look mostly good, to be honest. Puwexil maintaining his lead, but no cash right behind him, and River's not too far behind them, and Roth not too far behind Rivers. But Roth has definitely been seeing the brunt of what FF4 can do to you.
So after Mom Bomb is, I would say, the first real place where Step Route really comes into account. The walk off of Mount Hobs and then the walk to Fabul are two of the most encounter-heavy walks in the game. More so the walk on the world map from Mount Hobs to Fabul. And so the ideal step routes skip a ton of encounters. So you'll see anybody that's close to seed 43, like I believe Puwexil said he had seed 42, he should have a very good walk here. Whereas if you're not doing a step route, you'll see 5, 6, 7 encounters all just from Mount Hobs to Fabul. But the step routes, some of them have 0, some of them have 1, some of them have 2. It's much better than the average for sure. And that's one of the places where step route really comes in a ton of really comes in handy. I guess what I'm trying to say.
That's a pretty nice Fabul enter time for Puwexil. Race situation, getting into Fabul on under 39 is always pretty nice. Safety safe from Puwexil as well. Fabul is not nearly as dangerous as it used to be in times past, but you still never know. It's still one of the places things can go pretty dang wrong. It's one of those things. It's fine, but when it rains, it pours here in Fabul. So pretty safe move to save. I can't fault them for that. Otherwise, we'll enter the gauntlet here with Puwexil with the other guys entering the castle soon. You're going to see the same can't run technique to be used here against every fight, which will allow, in the case of the guard fights, for Edward to get his dancing in before any of the guards go. Normally you'd queue it up and the guards would both get their attacks. And 2 attacks means more time you lose in general, but also more chances for Edward to get hit. And Edward can die in 2 hits. And you really don't want that. He's your main damage dealer. He can one-shot a guard, guaranteed. Whereas it's not even a guarantee that Yang and Cecil can kill a guard together, sadly. everything looks to be pretty clean so far, though. Except for Rivers. I shouldn't have said anything, man. So there's an example there. Byan and Cecil, they should be able to do enough damage. Sometimes they don't. You gotta take an extra turn to kill. Just you take an extra hit and some more time to end the battle.
I think everyone here has done enough runs that they've had a guard take 4 hits.
You know, I don't even know if I've experienced that. But that's rough. The general trend per battle is the same. Get your can't run in, dancing dagger someone, whether it's a guard or a weeper or a gargoyle, and if you got the time, do some inventory management. And again, you want to make sure you get crappy stuff out of the way. You don't need that rod, or you don't need that harp or whatever. Get it the heck out of there.
Yeah, one of the finer nuances of this game is inventory management. You don't really think about it, I guess, when you're casually playing through an RPG, but like the items you want to use the most, having them higher in inventory actually saves so much time. And so being able to move items while in battle without actually losing any time doing so, the amount of time that saves over the course of the entire game is ridiculous. And I guess in any RPG that holds true, but especially in this one, there's like weird like menu lag going down when you're scrolling through a menu and stuff, and so it can be really, really handy and kind of separates the better runners from the best runners, in my opinion. But I think throughout the past year to 2 years, the runners have paid a lot of attention to optimizing that as much as possible, and I think people do a much better job than they did in the past of making sure that the items are where they want them to be.
Yeah, I will definitely say it's a staple of RPG speedruns, but for FF4 it's just all the more important because the menu scrolling in this game sucks.
So we see the trolling happening on puwexil's side, but fortunately he's actually done with his fights, so even though Edward is weak and hiding, puwexil's able to get through without too much trouble. I believe that hit happened on the last fight, so as long as Edward gets that final dancing dagger off, he can hide all he wants, really. And so this last fight with Kane here, Kane can either deal enough damage to force basically a quick kill, or you have to sit through more dialogue if you're unlucky. But fortunately, you can also hit yourself to kind of assist that along. So this is the first split of our run. I believe puwexil is going to be the first one with a 43-39. And so if Kane and Cecil combined don't do enough damage, you have to sit through more dialogue, and as well as an additional perished text box. And that wastes probably about 10 to 15 seconds. Again, that's another thing you have absolutely no control over, but at the same time, it's FF4.
Yeah, it's super frustrating too. That's a lot of time. Rivers is good though too.
Yep, looks like
44-19.
everybody's gonna get through without too much trouble. I saw Edward die on Roth's stream, but I believe that was also in the last fight, so no big deal there.
Yeah. When are we actually splitting?
Split when on Fade Out and Kane.
Okay, cool.
So no
Some
cash.
45,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah, no cash has seen that scenario, unfortunately. Whereas everybody else got through clean.
Yeah, I had a really, really, really bad Fabul sequence. I had 2 back attacks, and every one of my fights did not go optimal. I had to do extra attacks in all of them, and then the Kane thing, so it's a huge bummer.
So it looks like the differential between first and fourth is what, just right around a minute, which is not bad at all. That's almost nothing in a race setting for this game, really. The bottom half of your feed here, seeing some not so great luck, but we're also talking there's another a little under 2.5 hours, so plenty can happen. One other tidbit here, may be hard to see because everybody's kind of in a different spot, but how they actually walk through Fabul is probably, again, something you tend not to think about, but for the step route it does matter. Certain tiles advance the steps and certain tiles do not. You'll see them make use of that depending on if they need steps in the castle and how many, blah, blah, blah. I just remember, because I basically stopped playing the game right around step routing came out. One of the first things I tried to tackle is really, even when I'm not in a gameplay area, quote unquote, I actually have to think about it. That's dumb. That's annoying. They do, And at this point, it's going to be second nature, probably, except for maybe Dwarven Castle, which is probably always annoying. But again, every time you think these guys don't have to pay attention, chances are they really do.
And I think that's a really nice thing now, just because even despite the slow walking speed in this game, there's still pretty much always something going on as part of the speedrun route, with that step route element thrown in.
It definitely adds a layer of chaos to the run. I know, comparatively, having run it without step route and then running it with, there's always that nagging feeling in the back of your mind, oh no, did I count right? Did I take enough steps? How many steps am I supposed to take up here? It's just is that the right encounter? And it's just all kinds of craziness. And so you're constantly, I guess, paranoid that you're doing everything right.
The part that I'm not really a fan of, those the frame perfect resets and stuff in order to manipulate it. Because it does make just starting a run kind of a little more tedious than just turning on your console and going.
Yeah, it might be early to talk about it, but is anybody planning on going for Trash Can just right off the bat, or are you still going to make it a game day decision, or what?
I haven't moved my trash can up. I'm just going to throw a carrot at Milon and move on.
I will be going fire too.
I'm not sure yet. I'm behind, so it might be worth doing, but I don't want to get further behind if it goes worse.
For sure. So we'll figure it out as we go along then. In the meantime, we got some heavy cutscenes to get through with our good friend Leviathan.
So you may know this particular whirlpool monster from the Final Fantasy 15 trailer. He makes a cameo in FF4 after debuting in Final Fantasy 15.
You're gonna see our players make their 6 million gold you put to use here. You're gonna buy a lot of stuff that's gonna last throughout the entire game, especially those items of Cure 2s, Lives, Heals, Ethers will be utilized throughout the rest of the game. Some of the armor, not necessarily through the entire rest of the game, but definitely useful now, mostly for defense for our team. And you don't necessarily need 10. Actually, you don't really need 10 of anything for the most part. But instead of buying something 3 times, that clutters up your inventory and takes time, or setting the cursor to like 3 or 5 or whatever. It's just much faster to put it at 10. You can just get it out of your way in the inventory at some point in time, whenever that comes up. No big deal. You're not going to see anybody sell anything. They should be managing their inventory in such a way that they do not get full, and that, again, useless stuff is always at the bottom, so it should not be an issue.
So yeah, those stacks of items are going to come in handy throughout the rest of the run, really. Outside of one other place, much later in the game, where they buy elixirs, there's really no item shopping. There's still a couple of places where they'll buy armor and weapons, but this is really is used throughout the rest of the run as the main ways of healing yourself. Which, you know, having 50, 60, 70 of stacks of items really kind of comes in handy, just a little bit.
A little bit. Along with the Fabul walk, this stretch of walking is pretty rough as well. It's just long, and then once you get to the mountain, I mean, I guess even before the mountain too, but especially on the mountain, the packs you can run into are also pretty brutal back attack wise. Definitely another area where step route comes in handy. Again, you're gonna get encounters, but if you could minimize what you get, obviously there's less chance that you run into something you don't want to run into. Roth, man, I asked you to stop, man. Don't keep doing it.
I'm good, I'm taking the scenic route. It's all good. We'll get there.
Yeah, Roth is really displaying what FF4 can do to crush your soul completely.
Oh yeah.
My soul is pretty crushed at the moment.
And that's easily the worst one you can even get on the world map too. Like,
Oh, the tiny mages one.
yeah.
Oh, my sympathies.
It's glorious. And another one. It's either 9 or 10.
That feel, man, that feel.
So here on Mount Ordeals, we run into good old man Tellah. And he's on the mountain looking for some way to stop Golbez because he's not strong enough. And he's like, oh, this mountain has some kind of magical power. So he's just like plowing through zombies, looking around this mountain for some kind of magical revelation. He's like, oh, well, what's up, guys? I'll come with you because I don't want to get eaten by zombies anymore. And upcoming, we have the Milon and Milon Z fights. Definitely, again, it's funny. It's like we mentioned. Oh, this is how FF4 control you. This is how FF4 control you. This is the worst. This fight, these two fights right here, are the absolute worst in the entire run, at least in my opinion.
Oh, you think they're worse than bats?
Oh yeah. So depending on a lot of different luck factors. One of them is, well, for starters, there's actually a number of different strategies you can take going into this fight. You may have seen it mentioned or heard it mentioned, but there is a particular glitch you can do called the Twin Mimic glitch, which can speed up the fight significantly. However, it is very difficult to execute, and if it goes wrong, then very bad things can happen, including dying. So definitely a risky strat with high rewards, but also the downside is very abysmal. I guess the normal quote-unquote strat in order to kill this boss is to use Twin Cast and try and get a bunch of flares. Twins cast Flare 75% of the time, they'll cast Comet 25% of the time, and then they have a 1 in 256 chance to fail. And Flare is the spell you want. It does the most damage. However, it doesn't. You can get. I've seen as many as 7 comments in a row, so you can get trolled hardcore. And the same goes for Milon Z. There's a quick kill with the Twin Mimic glitch, and then you can also just get trolled by twin damage. So the strat that puwexil is actually using is one of the more, I guess, consistent strats, where he's actually going to try and kill off Cecil and Tellah to get Palom an extra level. And what that's going to do is allow him to learn Fire 2 for Milon Z. And so what that does is it really makes the damage consistent on Milon Z at the cost of losing a little time against Milon. But in order to do so, you have to kill off Cecil and Tellah in this fight. And that's a little risky, because, you know, Milon can just lightning whoever he wants and do a lot of damage. So you notice Rivers on the top left is going for the twin strat as opposed to puwexil's Fire 2 strat. And interestingly enough, both of these rely on having good twin rolls, and puwexil gets his 2nd comment in a row. So twin's really showing him the power of FF4.
Speaking of the power of FF4, if Roth doesn't run into that kind of twin issue, then he can actually make up a decent chunk of time. Even Rivers getting his comment as well.
Yeah, so this fight's actually looking to be a great equalizer. You know, puwexil got through. He's going to be able to get through Milon Z without too much trouble, but he definitely lost a little bit of time there, through no fault of his own. Comment number 2 for Rivers.
Oh, jeez.
It looks like Roth's actually going for the trash can strat. What a brave soul.
Oh my goodness.
First turn poison too.
So there's the Twin Mimic glitch on the bottom left there. Roth successfully executed it. And so what that does is it allows you to use an item from your inventory that you're not normally allowed to use as an item, and some of those correspond to spell codes. And so, for whatever reason, using a carrot in battle is mapped to some crazy holy spell, and you instantly killed Milon there. And so Roth actually made up a ton of time there compared to some of the other runners. So congrats on successfully executing that, Roth. It's definitely scary.
Milon Z mostly just sucks because everything gets slowed down, and that poison message is that you know, message speed 5 or whatever the slowest is for whatever reason. It just takes forever. You're actually seeing different strategies here though now, which is pretty cool.
So on the top left, Rivers is going for the Twin Mimic glitch on the Milon Z fight. So for this particular setup, Cecil needs to get killed by Milon Z, which will trigger the glitch. But Palom also needs to be alive, so pretty tough. It looks like Roth running into a little bit of issues as well. Rivers.
Oh my god.
Oh. Rivers in a little bit of danger here.
Yeah. So now the issue is he could actually die and not just not do that mimic glitch. He could legit die here. So this is bad.
Oh man.
Oh, clutch, dude. Clutch. What a god, dude. What a god. Rivers hops in the second there.
Yeah, that was super close to being very, very bad.
Oh yeah. If Milon Z had hit anybody else, that was basically going to be game over.
Not only if he had not hit anybody else, but like he hit right as he was going into the menu, so he had to swap like super fast. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked. So shout outs
What
to
a
Rivers
boss,
for that.
dude.
The exact same thing just happened to me.
Nice, dude. It's a little bit of a flip flop, but all places are kind of still in the same spot. Puwexil has a bit of a lead here, and with Rivers and No Cash a little bit behind him, and Roth a little bit behind them. But everybody's still pretty close. I always love this part now, ever since Neerrm made the greatest discovery of all time for this game. You know, it was an interesting point in time. You had to sit here and casually, you know, you're not supposed to do anything except get beat up and go through some dialogue. And it was actually kind of okay. Like, you know, he talks a bunch and you could go in your inventory and sort a bunch of stuff out and it all seemed nice. But again, it turns out the Dark Knight here actually has a hit point pool of 1,000 and doesn't counter you or anything like that if you just dancing dagger it. So you can actually kill it, which is super awesome and definitely faster. And it used to be super annoying because it's like, oh, but my inventory. But you get over it because it's fast. You get it. It's all about the speed, man. Speed.
So both Rivers and No Cash displaying, you know, you gotta be able to think on your feet in this run, for sure. Because if you don't, you're gonna die, especially when you're trying risky strats like that. So, really a good display of RPG menuing and good skill. So shout outs to both of you guys. Making it interesting for sure.
Puwexil with his... Is that your first back attack?
I believe so.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of situations when you're learning the game, or maybe you're just kind of like solid at the game. You know the script, but things go off script. Well, you tend to be able to see who really has their stuff down. And I would imagine that would apply at all for these guys here today. They know how to get the job done, even if things don't go exactly the way they ought to. I think what I like about this relay is for at least 4 and 5. The 4 players you have are all super competitive. Like, not necessarily in attitude, some are, but like skill-wise, they're all like right there with each other. That wasn't necessarily always the case in the past. It might be that way for 6, but there's some guy named Bike Fong Balls in there. It's probably going to bring things down a little bit, so...
Yeah, that guy is really terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know why we let him in the relay. I guess we had no other choice.
Same. Agreed. Thankfully, on the way back here, there's a chocobo forest, and you can cut the walk in half. The walk off the mountain is still crappy, but you can cut the overworld stuff out of it.
Yeah. Just messed up step route a little bit too, because I didn't press hard enough on the D-pad and missed a no encounter in tile in the mountain, but just looking at my grind fight, I should be okay if nothing else goes wrong.
Yikes. Yeah, the step route is actually fairly strict in this game, and it's hard to really argue, like what game the step route is the most important. They're probably just super impactful in all 3 games now these days, but there's one fight our gentlemen need to find right away towards the end, and the step route is twofold: to minimize those encounters, yes, but also to guarantee getting that encounter on the way. We'll talk about it, an hour, 2 hours, or less than 2 hours. But we really want to make sure our boys stay on that route. It's super important that they do.
So moving on to the next boss battle, it's actually against our good buddy Karate Man Yang. And so what it is it's 2 guards and then a scripted fight with Yang where he'll die on the second physical attack from Cecil, regardless of whether or not it hits. And so there's a little bit of menuing in that fight, and then it's onward to Castle of Baron for Byan and Kazo. I guess one of the most important shops in the game, at least in my opinion, is the Baron Armor shop, where you get a bunch of you buy headbands and karate armor, and both of those items boost strength. Headbands by 5 strength and karate by 3 strength. And so for attack damage in this game, for every 8 strength a character has, unless it's Yang, who gets 1 every 4 strength, you actually get an attack damage multiplier. And so it really increases the amount of damage characters can do. It's very important, especially for any of the physical attacking characters like Kane, like Cecil, like Yang. You want their strength to be basically as high as possible, deal as much damage as possible, because we don't really ever level in the run outside of the very end of the game. So having optimized equipment is super important throughout the rest of the run. You'll also notice some more micromanaging going on. You'll see that they're moving the change rod from Palom because we don't really need the twins for anything anymore, and then trying to put it on Tellah, who will be utilizing that for the I guess the next 2 or 3 boss fights. Change Rod provides a boost to Wisdom of +5, and then for the attack damage, for magic damage in this game, you get a multiplier for every 4 Wisdom that you have. So Change Rod is 1.25 multiplier just by itself, and so it's really important to like I mentioned 30 seconds ago, to optimize equipment as much as possible to maximize the stat gains.
One of the things you'll start seeing here as well is manipulating some experience gains, starting on the with Byan and with a few net bosses beyond. This game is interesting. When you gain experience from a boss, it will be split up between all 5 party members, so that, let's say a boss gives 5,000 experience, then your 5 party members get 1,000 experience each. However, if someone is dead, then that experience is redistributed to just the 4 remaining people, or however remaining people there are, which is actually something that's really cool. The other neat thing about experience is that party members that you've had before and will come back at some point in time also gain this experience, even though they're not around. And you can make use of that fact on purpose. We really want Kane, when he eventually rejoins, to be level 19, because that gives him an extra damage multiplier. And we can manipulate that. If you just left everybody alive and went about your day, he wouldn't get it. But should you decide you want to kill off some party members for these bosses, especially if they're not useful, aka the twins and maybe someone else, depending on what their strategy is, then you'll get more experience, not only for your surviving members, but also for Kane and Rosa and whatnot. And that will be something that's a big part of the next half hour-ish. So don't be surprised if they don't leave or if they leave someone dead, or if they kill someone off. It's not necessarily because they're heartless. They might be, but they really want that experience at the end of the day.
Want revenge for those double comets?
Oh yeah. This cave also sucks. Crocs get to go before you a lot of the time, Or they'll go twice if they back attack you. There's some big packs that Roth just ran into. Of course, Roth ran into it. And you really just want to get through the first 2 rooms as quickly as possible.
Yeah, this area of the game, I guess, you know, just from Mysidia to through the Barren Sewer, the encounters that you run into are really just nasty, and also the encounter rate for these areas right here. For whatever reason, they just like turned it up. They're like, what can we make this more interesting? Yeah, let's throw more encounters at them. More enemies, more encounters. And I guess they finally realized, oh, maybe people won't like this. Now we need a gimmick for the next dungeon, and then we'll tone it down a little bit.
So hopping in the menu, they're going to equip their party members with some of the gear they bought, and also perform one of the glitches that are available in this game, which is the MP Unflow. You kind of end up tricking the game by bringing down your MP and then highlighting a spell that you can still cast, and then moving on over to a spell you can't cast and confirming at the same time. And that will bring you into a negative value of MP, which ultimately ends up being basically infinite MP in battle, not outside of battle. It was always kind of one of those trolls, right? So you learn Oh Glorious Medio, which costs 99 MP, and Tellah would never have enough MP for it, so it ends up being like just a storyline spell. But if you give yourself infinite MP, then what's to stop you from using it? So for Byan here, it's pretty simple. Kill off some people, protect Tellah, have Tellah cast Medio because he can. And the cast time does take a long time. In the meantime, you can kill people off. At the bare minimum, we want both twins dead. And from there, it just depends on their own strat. They're probably going to kill off gangs, but it might not necessarily. Most likely to do it.
Puwexil getting the Vampire of the Century?
Nice, dude.
Alright, I guess I'm reverting to wave skip strats since that happened.
So you can see Medio is just a nice one-shot. Very, very worthwhile. You're going to see the same trend for Kainazo, sort of. People are already dead, so you don't really have to reset that up, but you're really banking on the Tellah one-shot.
So yeah, Tellah's lit 3, even with all the gear that he has, it can do anywhere from 3,200 to about 5,000, and Kainazo has 4,000 hit points. So you kind of soften him up a little bit with Cecil and Yang beforehand, and then pray that Tellah one-shots him.
Yeah. It's such a big time loss when it doesn't kill him too. .46 from Puwexil's Tellah, so no slouch there. A 36 from Rivers, which was not enough to kill, so now he's going to move into the shell phase, which is going to be some lost time. But will we be able to kill him? Yeah, so that's okay. Not a giant time loss that it could be. Thankfully, he killed him right after.
The casual dancing dagger crit on Rivers.
Yeah, dude.
And then Roth with a 3,400.
Same.
I was off by about 20 damage.
And you
Sadness.
can see No Cash's trolling actually put him behind everybody else now. He got the lit kill, but his walk on the way not the greatest. And I'm not convinced Roth has had a single good thing happen to him in the last hour and 15 minutes.
I had a strike first against 2 crocodiles.
Okay, there was one good thing that's happened.
Yeah.
That'll work.
here's the thing, you know, Roth was a minute behind, and he made up some time. That means No Cash can also make up some time. He knows the
So a very clear example of FF4 giveth, FF4 taketh away. Really, haven't seen like any like major mistakes or anything by any of these runners whatsoever. And so it's all like the discrepancy you see between everybody is either a product of the step route or, you know, any kind of RNG shenanigans the game wants to throw at people. So it's FF4. It's pretty cruel. So this cutscene right here is one of the longest cutscenes in the game. Let's get the Bible thumps for the twins.
Or if you're Brossentia, you got the biggest smile on your face.
Of course, the popular theory is that Tellah actually petrifies them, because he's the only one who actually knows the stone spell, and then he fakes trying to heal them. He's like, oh, they cast it themselves of their own will, and because they did it themselves, I can't heal them. Darn. Let's go. So coming up, we have the Cave of Magnus, and so as I mentioned earlier, there's a gimmick to this cave in that anybody who has metallic equipment currently equipped will be paralyzed in the cave. And so in like a casual playthrough, you're basically guaranteed like, oh, I'm gonna run into this cave, and like it gives you a little like dialogue box, metallic equipment, what's that? And then you like go in there and you immediately die because you know you're just not expecting it. And so from a speedrun perspective, what we do is when Sid joins the party, he has a wooden hammer and prisoner garb, which there's nothing metallic about either of those. And so Sid is basically the only one who does not get paralyzed in the Dark Elf Cave without any equipment changes. And so what we do is we rocket through the Dark Elf Cave, and hoping that we don't get any of the super trolley back attacks that are in there. And then if Sid dies on the way down and everybody else is paralyzed, then it's game over. So it's definitely a little bit risky, especially there are a couple back attacks in the cave that can be super trolly. One of them, if you've been watching chat, you know somebody named Bat Back Attack, and he's got that name for a reason. And then there's also two mages that can cast Blast, which also paralyzes somebody in the party, and if they cast it on Sid, then it's an immediate 50-second time loss while you sit there and wait for that to wear off, and hope that they don't kill him too. So it can be really, really nasty if the mages decide they want to appear and back attack you. But such is life. I'm sure Roth will put it on display for us. He's put everything else on display.
Will it happen?
So in the meantime, we have our good buddy Edward taking a nap. He's like, I want to help you guys. Here, let me give you my mixtape. That'll burn everything to the ground. Yeah. And so Edward gives you his mixtape, and you're like, okay. And one other interesting thing coming up here is the fact that the runners have to catch a black chocobo, and there's actually a way to manipulate when, or at least know where the black chocobo is going to go. This is a relatively new thing. I don't know if anybody here is going to do it, but you can, like, while you're walking into the town or the castle of Troya, you can actually watch where the frogs are walking in the water, and based on what you see there, you can actually figure out where the black chocobo is going to walk. And it's super high tech. I haven't actually done it myself, but myself 086 is the one who came up with that particular manipulation. And so it's a pretty crazy thing. I'm not sure if any of the runners have learned that, but if they have, shoutouts to them, because it's super hard to pay attention to where NPCs are moving while you're walking.
Walking is hard, dude. It's kind of the general trend of these games.
Walking and counting are both very difficult. River's getting a little bit trolled. At least it ran into a corner.
Chocobo wrangling, man. Roth's a pretty good catch. No cash.
Ah, I got him.
It's a little bit of
Picked him up,
struggle, but
picked
he
him
got
up.
it. He got it. That could have been all kinds of bad. It wasn't.
So really all four runners within a minute of each other, going into this cave. You'll notice actually Rivers and puwexil look like they're on the same encounter string.
Alright, alright. Let's see if I still got it. Although it's less fun now that everybody knows what encounters are. But, you know. Runners, that is.
Well, you said, let's see if I still got it, and you gave puwexil a back attack. And there's the bats on Roth's stream, but he got away.
Eh, a little rusty, I guess.
It's half there.
There
The
we go.
magic is half there.
Start chasing me!
Roth. Ah, there it is.
there we go. We got it. We did it.
Congrats.
Ah, there it is.
And on 3 screens, bats were there. Whew, there we go. Warming up nicely. Ah, poor NightBat, man. Poor NightBat, man. Seems like a solid walk for everybody else, though. We're getting a lot of bat scares, but only one back attack, so that's good.
So you'll notice puwexil actually went from first to fourth with one bat back attack.
Yeah, that's the power of the bats, man. And if it had been a 6-1, he'd probably be in last place right now. Oh, he is. Yeesh, what a walk.
So here you'll notice they're equipping Sid with the Iron Glove. The Iron Glove is actually pulled off of Kane in the first 10 minutes of the game. And so what that does is it gives Sid a piece of metallic equipment. And going into the Dark Elf fight, where you're originally supposed to just go in there and try and kick his butt, and he's like, haha, me attack you! And then he does all these spells that do like thousands and thousands of damage. You're like, oh, that sucks. And then, but with the Iron Glove equipped, everybody has metallic equipment on, and so you instantly die, and it skips all that, and then that fight is already flagged to have a special trigger that when you die, this cutscene happens. And so it actually saves a significant amount of time to just, you know, instantly kill people. So there you have it. The RNG of FF4 can swing races quite significantly. I believe Rivers is now in first place, and then No Cash and Roth within seconds of each other, and probably about 10 seconds behind Rivers. So it's a super close race. So the Dark Elf fight itself, the Dark Elf has 2 forms, kind of similar to Mom Bomb. And Dark Elf will cast a bunch of spells, cast Weak on somebody, and then Piggy somebody. And then after, I believe it's 2,000 hit points, Dark Elf will transform into this dragon thing. And for whatever reason, the dragon is susceptible to the weak spell. And so instead of having to, you know, plow through all the dragon hit points, you can just cast weak on the dragon and it dies. And that's really convenient. You also notice the runners are casting Virus on Sid. We don't like Sid. He's not cool enough to be a part of our crew. And so he gets bopped for experience for Kane. One of the trolly things about this fight is Weak can miss, as evidenced right there on No Cash's stream. And when that happens, you just lose a ton of time. It's out of your control, and just really unfortunate when it does happen. so definitely bad luck on No Cash's side. Nothing you can really do about that.
Wow, they're super close now. That minute differential is just like straight gone.
I'm glad the runners remembered to split right there because I sure didn't think about it. So shoutouts to you guys for paying attention.
Yeah, looks like that minute spread between first and fourth is down to like a little less than 30 seconds. That's FF4, folks.
So from one one trolley dungeon to the next. So upcoming we have the Tower of Zot, which I guess really isn't too terrible, but a lot of the back attacks are actually pretty dangerous just from a damage output perspective, because if monsters decide they want to just destroy you, they will. Particularly Ice Beasts do a absolute ton of damage. And you're also going to see the runners pick up a treasure chest that has a monster in a box, and that treasure chest contains a fire sword. And a lot of the upcoming bosses are actually, I guess, weak to fire. And also the fire sword is just a general damage upgrade for Kane. And so doing so will actually, over the course of the run, just save a ton of time, just by nature of being a better weapon than what Kane comes back to you with. The Tower of Zot is definitely another place where a good walk is 2 to 3 minutes faster than a bad one. Due to the average levels of the party compared to the monster packs, the chances of getting back attacks are significantly higher in this tower.
Yeah, this is where you really start getting owned. There's a lot of encounters, they're all bad. Not only back attacks cost you time, they do a lot of damage. You got things like swordsmen that outspeed you anyway. No matter what you do, they'll go. You get back attack, they'll go twice. This can be a pretty nightmarish place. Roth has a back attack here, and that's, like, it's bad, but you know what? It could be a tad worse. And you probably heard it mentioned before, our runners have seen some pretty bad streaks in here as well. Hopefully we don't see that. Okay, it's back attack as well. Whereas Rivers is just getting to the fire sword chest, so he'll heal up a bit. You definitely do not want to take that fight on less than full HP, or at least too much less. You might see different strats here, so Rivers is really trying to get Yang out of there for some experience, but he didn't quite pull it off. But there's another boss, he can just handle what he needs to handle. It shouldn't be a big deal. Puwexil right behind him. He'll be finishing shortly. And Roth behind him. Yeah, it's like basically everybody is kind of like one transition behind the other. We're still super close.
Also shout out to No Cash for remembering to Ether. Because Weak missed in the Dark Elf fight, he had to cast an extra week, and obviously that takes more MP.
Shout out to Gata.
And so it's very, very easy to forget, oh, I had to cast an extra week, I'm out of MP, and then you just die because you can't cast Ice 2.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have run into that problem before. Yeah, super close fight, dude. Living dangerously.
We almost have a heartbreaker in the fire dog.
Almost. The man knows how to put on a show for the fans, dude. That's what he was doing. It's all manipulated.
No cash, all swag.
Yeah, dude.
I safety saved.
Alright, so we're on the last boss here. No, as far as like really gearing up for that awesome Kane.
The final
Magus
boss.
Sisters, pretty straightforward. And you really want to block for Tellah just in case he gets hit by a physical. And then from there you're hoping that a Delta attack doesn't hit him, because then you don't have to waste a turn. But
Yeah,
other
so
than that,
yeah, having Medio really
yeah.
trivializes a number of the more difficult fights in this run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I know, like as a kid playing this game, I got stuck on this fight for like weeks.
Same here.
This boss used to suck a lot, and now you can just one-shot them. Pretty nice.
So
And
all four
fighting-
runners in the
Probably
fight
wasn't
at the
the big
same
deal.
time.
Yeah, wow, super close. There's a Medio. There's a Medio. So you kind of have Rivers and puwexil basically neck and neck, and then you have Roth and No Cash also basically neck and neck. Just like a turn behind, basically.
Yeah, it's within 20 seconds, maybe 30. It's definitely a super close race. So now, Tellah actually learns how to cast Medio in real life, not this fake stuff we've been doing.
Should have avoided real life, man.
They do it every day.
Yeah, at least back in the day, the running joke was Medio doesn't kill Tellah. It's 3 Medios. If he had just stuck with 2, he'd be alive today.
What's really funny is like even all the spells that he casts before Medio, he doesn't have enough MP to spam all that.
Yeah. True.
So a ton of sadness as Tellah bops himself. And then coming up, we have the fight with Valvalis, which is, in my opinion, one of the more fun fights of the run. When executed properly, it just feels so good. The way the turn order works out, and the way with the proper formation and great equipment, you can actually, outside of the first tornado form that Valvalis goes into, you can time Kane's jumps. So that he will always stop her as soon as she goes into tornado form, and it's really a good feeling to have the execution go proper, because it's actually super difficult to hit everything with proper timing. Basically, if you flub basically anybody's input, you're in trouble, and you might run into her being able to cast her spells in tornado form again. So when the fight goes well, it's one of those I'm awesome kind of feelings.
Yeah, it's a good fight for sure. And on paper, it doesn't really seem that bad. The script itself is simple, but oh man, you better follow through with that script perfectly, or else
Didn't go
everything's
too
going
hot
wrong.
for me last night in practice. She weaked Cecil, and then because he can't cover when he's weak, she was able to kill Yang and then throw off the script.
It's a good one though, for sure.
Should probably explain cover strats at some point too, because they're starting to come into play.
There's a lot you can abuse in this game. Again, everybody is low level, but Cecil does have a cover mechanic as a paladin and that you don't even necessarily have to set either. When someone's in critical HP, it'll automatically cover for them. And if you stick him in the back row as well, he still takes back row damage, and he can tank a lot of hits. And you probably in the fight, especially this one, you do have free turns. You could heal him if you really, really, really had to, so you're not really in any danger. It's pretty nice, and you'll see them make use of that on purpose because most of their party was dead, and they're not going to spend time healing them. I mean, you'll revive them, yes, but you will not heal them. You'll keep them in critical, and Cecil will just block for everybody. From there, everybody basically has the turn order memorized and know what to do and know what inputs to put in immediately, whether they gotta hold A for attack or go into the menu for slow or whatever it is that they have to do. And the fight should go super clean unless someone makes a mistake somewhere. From there, real damage rolls unfortunately do play a role. Kane's damage can vary quite a bit. He can be amazing, or he can be awful. River is queuing up the safety cure too, and totally worth it because Cecil got weakened. Same for puwexil. She
Yeah, the double
perfect
Valvalis
safety.
whammy.
They're ending 400 on that jump. Could be worse, but it definitely could be better.
So having Cecil get weaked is pretty unfortunate. Oh wow, three for three. Ah, no cash dodges it. What a boss. So having Cecil get weaked, really kind of, if you're prepared for it, it's not too terrible, but it can cause some problems in this fight. With Cecil covering for everybody, basically he can only take one more hit. Even with the cure 2, he can take one hit before he's back in weakened state again. And so you kind of have to keep feeding him cure 2s along the way, or you can play it risky and not heal him. There's definitely multiple ways to do this.
The sync, dude. I'm loving this sync right now that I have, at least on my feed.
It's pretty synced on stream too.
See, you can see the damage variance. 850 for Rivers, 1150 for puwexil, dude. Like, those damage rolls can count for a lot. But puwexil was also getting crappy rolls on the tornadoes.
Oh, Rivers goes for the quick kill
overall,
and gets it.
yeah.
Good job, buddy.
He got good damage overall, so... he can
I'd have
get
gone
that
for it if
hit.
I hadn't had to drop a dagger to cure Cecil.
Yeah, and that's all it took to kill him, basically, is that one.
I think Roth's gonna get the quick kill as well,
Ooh, 1070.
judging by his damage rolls up. No Cash tried it, but just a little bit short. Kane had a really low damage roll for a melee attack. So he'll have to wait for a
set
Kane
him
jump.
back some. His Valvalis will get her spell casts, unfortunately. Good performance overall, though. Everybody on top of things. So just imagine, right at the very end for no cash there, things got a lot of whack. That can happen if you're off, at any time during the fight. If something like that happens at the beginning, that fight could be pretty nightmarish. If only just for time. You can probably still confident you're going to get through, but that can be a lot of time wasted. But hey, it's all good. We're all in Cecil's bedroom, or were, and we can hang out and have a good time. Everybody can sleep in the bed together, and
Alright, so So you are affectionately known for the big doll. So Mr. Big Doll himself, how many big dolls are we gonna see?
I know one person. One person's gonna play for the fans. It's gonna see Big Doll. Everybody else is gonna be lame. Be like, I guess I'm just gonna try to go fast. Someone though is watching out for the donations and is gonna have to fight Big Doll. One person.
The donations, huh?
Yeah.
Well, looks like Kata's donating for the double big doll.
Whoa. This is a speed run. 2 big dolls. Let's not go too crazy. If you're familiar with other categories, this would be the spot where routes diverge from the Dwarven Castle. You can do some amazingly glitchy stuff and finish out the game. But of course, we're not doing that. We're going to see this whole game here, and we'll actually just be able to walk straight into the throne room and talk to the king and get in this couple of boss fights, which are super annoying. Because you're really banking on practically all RNG. If I recall correctly, last relays, well, I guess it was never double big doll. It was just the big doll backing into the small dolls. I think that happened to 2 racers last year.
Ugh. Never a fun thing. When that big doll forms, you're always like, oh man, what have I done?
Yeah. And then it's the kick while you're down if it ever transforms back.
Yeah, I think the last 2 FF4 marathon runs, I believe when Roth did his run at SpudCon, I believe he got big doll, and then when I did my run at DeuceCon, I got big doll, and then not sure about No Cash's run at Californiathon. Was there a big doll at that one too?
No, I was good to go.
Ah, you ruined the streak, man.
Combo breaker.
This guy knowing how to play the game. Come on,
But
man.
will he redeem himself at the relay? I always believe in second chances, so we'll see. Dolls can be a scary fight. It has to go the right way, or else you get the aforementioned big doll. The way that works is if you happen to kill all of one type of doll, they will turn into the big doll. And so you really want to kind of kill them off one by one and then kill the last one of each type at the same time, basically. And damage rolls, oof, they will make or break this run, that fight. You really want to make sure everything goes correctly, and if you don't happen to one-shot an orange doll or a gray doll or two-shot it or whatever, things go all out of whack, and it's super annoying, and we'll just have to see what kind of luck these guys get. It's like a 765 right there on a gray doll is kind of awful. It shouldn't be an issue, but you never know. You can get one slow off to halt their attacks, it's just a tad. Otherwise, there's a lot of this is just killing dolls and setting up. That mute is on purpose. We'll talk about that in a moment.
On Roth's side, not to be outdone, 750.
Ridiculous.
Kane can do everywhere from about 750 to 1300 to these dolls.
There you go. And there's a 1250, you know, it's like, okay.
No Cash didn't really get a good roll either with 845, so really, Kane's just dropping the ball all across the board here.
Yeah, the higher level Kane certainly doesn't guarantee anything, but it gives you a much better shot at getting better damage rolls. Okay, so relatively clean fight for
And he
Rivers.
finally delivered for me when it didn't actually matter.
Yeah, looks like a clean fight for puwexil for the most part as well. And should be the same for Roth here. So we'll be moving into Golbez here, and there's a very important reason why everybody got muted. And this game has this weird status effect priority where a lot of things don't stack. And then it goes through a priority where if you have a status effect that has a higher priority than something else, you won't actually be affected by it. So Mew happens to have a higher priority than the hold gas, and so we'll be able to act with this party member. I mean, basically Cecil, because he's muted and won't get paralyzed instead. So that's pretty cool. He also had to make sure they got a quick jump on the first turn, so Kane actually avoids everything. If you're too slow with it, then Kane doesn't do it in time. If you're too fast with it, then Kane will actually land too early. That's typically not a thing anymore. I think everybody plinks this and it works out perfectly. And the only thing from here on out you really got to worry about is Kane's jump damage. Because if you don't kill Golbez, then you got to sit through tons of dialogue. But 2130 for Rivers is pretty awesome, so he's good. And you can see in small dialogue bursts, they're going to try to sort the menu too. That's definitely not easy, because you can definitely lose time if you're too slow. 900 miss for puwexil is pretty dang good with the 1740, so that jump itself was bad, but at least the miss damage was good. Oh, 1500 for Roth is...
How did you even kill him with 1500 roll?
And he still killed him! What?
We just got it, man. We had like a 960 miss dragon roll.
We do have a god in our midst.
It's mental.
Dude.
That's probably the first bit of good luck I've had in a boss fight.
Let me add that to the list, dude. One strike first, and killing Golbez, dude.
Whew, no cash. Probably within 20
that's two.
of killing him too. So everybody getting the quick kill. That's
Yeah, thank
rarely
God.
seen for sure.
Because that's like 20 plus seconds just gone. So, thankfully everybody got it. What they're then going to do is cast Warp, which brings you to the previous place that you were at, which happens to be the Crystal Room. For whatever reason, the Crystal's there. I'm sure other guys maybe have more technical knowledge, but you can pick it up, and it counts as the same Dark Crystal that you would have gotten in the Sealed Cave, and that's going to allow them to bypass that when they do eventually get there.
Essentially, lazy programming. They just reused that room in the sealed cave. But because of the way the game factors in, I guess, map travel, when you take the exit out, if like had you walked in from the sealed cave, you would go back to sealed cave. But because you're going in from the Dwarven Castle, you go back to Dwarven Castle. Just the way it's coded.
Yeah, that dungeon's not too bad. So they're going to make some pit stops here. It seems out of the way, but ultimately it's super important for damage. Strength Ring is amazing for physical damage, and I imagine everybody's going to be buying Rune Armlets as well, which is not quite the equivalent but for magic, but is still obviously going to pump that up some. Strength Ring itself is just pretty freaking awesome. And then they're going to be on their way to their next split, which will be Dr. Lugay and their first trip through the Tower of Babil, which is a pretty terrible place.
So yeah, all in all, this is about the halfway point in the run. Actually, maybe a little bit past the halfway point. But I guess I consider it the halfway point because it's where the any percent and the any percent no 64 routes diverge. And so really, really solid race from all four competitors. Everybody's probably within a minute of each other. Any number of, like two back attacks to one can, change the order at all. And one more important thing to note about the Dwarven Castle is there's so many like walking behind pillars and like walking in front of shops and walking on some places where there's rubble and some places where there's like a normal tile. It's definitely, in terms of a step route, the worst of actually trying to maintain the amount of steps and such that you have.
Yeah, it's probably one of the worst places, if not the worst, as far as keeping your step route.
No, there's no RNG at least, like with the Hummingway Cave though.
Wow, no cash getting
No
super
cash.
trolled.
No.
Oh my gosh, that
Now,
guy.
He's not losing steps, but dude, obviously it's lost time. That's brutal.
Power Dwarf.
Cracked out dwarf at it again. I feel like I haven't seen that in a long time either, but I also haven't watched a ton of runs these days.
He's gotta deliver for the fans, man.
True.
Magus brings up a good point. Somebody said there is no RNG, then the dwarf's like, no.
Good job, puwexil. He wants a little bit more padding. He paid off that dwarf. I like it. Four dog back attack. That's rough. Particularly long walks through Babil too, and then I think, I don't know, for me personally, part of what's kind of crushing about this area is, soon, not like ridiculously soon, but pretty soon, back attacks are not even an issue anymore. It's like, I'm almost there. And it almost seems like this is where you get the most back attacks. There will be one little pit stop for the Cat Claw. Cat Claw is a big time agility booster that will be used a bit later. And you definitely want to dupe those as well, because since they buff agility, you can use 2 of them. Why not have more than one? I would imagine everybody has duped the slot for Yang already. Typically, you do that somewhere in previous bosses like Dark Elf or Sisters or Flame Dog or Kane or Byan. So, I'm just gonna assume it happened already. Otherwise, the dungeon's really all about just walking and praying. If you're into that sort of thing. One for puwexil, but at least it wasn't a single chimera, I guess.
Fortunately, 2 chimeras, a case of 2 being better than 1. If one's by itself, it'll spam Blaze, which does a ton of damage to the whole party. With 2, they'll just attack.
And he gets to use it twice, man. Twice! Lugay is definitely another fight that's very hard for beginners, I would say, and maybe people who are just kind of solid. The fight is very, very tight, and you need to execute correctly and also recognize when damage rolls are not really going your way. And so it can be pretty difficult. I mean, it shouldn't be for these guys, but it's another one of those things where you can follow the script, and that's honestly not going to be good enough in most cases because things will probably go a little different than you want them to. And I'll show you what I mean by that when they actually enter the fight. In the meantime, they're going to do a bunch of equipping, Cat Claw, some magic boosting stuff, Strength Ring, all that good stuff.
So you might have noticed some of the runners putting the prisoner armor on Rydia, whereas that's some of the worst armor in the game. However, what the prisoner armor does is it prevents sleep. And one of the things Lugay 2 counters with whenever he gets attacked by anything is he'll counter with sleep gas. and so that'll make her immune to that.
Yep-a-roo. So what you got here is another occasion where you really want to kill both guys at the same time. And if you don't kill both guys at the same time, you really hope that you kill Lugay and not Valnab. Otherwise, terrible, terrible things happen. And there's a wide range of damage rolls between Yang's hits, Kane's jumps, and then, well, not a huge range for Titan, but Titan also does a crap ton of damage. So if you're ever in a position where you're like, uh-oh, I've done too much damage, then Titan might be the one that gets you. You can get a little bit of inventory management while they're talking to each other. Otherwise, you follow the script and you make sure you adjust how much damage you're doing to each guy as you go along. Let's see what's happening. Like, I was a little afraid for Rivers there because he was doing a crap ton of damage to Lugay. But it turns out he's okay, and a 1600 from Titan probably helped some as well, instead of like 2500.
Nice oil skip.
Yeah, so ultimately a good fight from Rivers, and it looks to be a good fight from puwexil as well. Although Rivers' Rydia is pretty low, so that could be an issue, because she'll die from anything. So what happened here with Roth is basically nothing, but he killed Lugay first, and Valnab got his turn. Valnab explodes, which is the better option than fighting Valnab Z. But thankfully, Valnab was so close to dead, his explosion did, 65 damage or something like that, so also not an issue.
Good
From
fight
there,
Cash as well.
Yeah, it was a good fight, yeah, absolutely. Pretty simple Lugay too from there. You're gonna wail on him, and every time he will counter with sleep, so you want to make sure you're hitting him with people that are worthwhile. He will laser someone, and the damage is based on his HP. The more HP he has, the more damage he'll do, which will kill someone the first time around because his HP level is high enough.
So friendly reminder to the
if
runners
you do see it again,
to split right here.
Dear lord, that was a beast of a fight.
don't forget to split. Yeah, so puwexil, that was a great fight. He's actually a little ahead now. 157
Yeah, so
Lugay, which is pretty good.
So Lugay 2 has an attack called Laser, which does damage based off of his HP, and in the beginning it does a ton of damage. And basically everybody, but if Rydia, Kane, and Yang are your super damage dealers in this fight, so if one of them gets sniped, then it's a bad thing. But for both Rivers and puwexil, it was Rosa that took the Laser, and so both of them able to get through with their primary damage dealer still alive, and that actually shortens the fight pretty significantly.
See, puwexil even getting through before the heal went off.
Oh,
Yeah, which ended up being bad.
Yeah,
For a
exactly.
setting like this, especially.
I'm gonna switch to your audio.
Oh yeah.
For the fans.
This is a great pace for a race, I must say. Things are going really well overall for our runners here. I'm gonna assume Roth forgot to split, that he's not about to fight Lugay.
Thanks. Is that late split okay?
That's fine. It'll make your comeback on Fiends all the more impressive.
Agreed. Agreed.
Oh. Well, since Yang is the one poisoned, Rip poison, nice.
You just got a free fight to get through here, and then you're gonna lose a main man Yang. It's always a shame, because right around this point is where Yang gets super beastly, and then you lose him.
Did you talk about the cat claw?
Only very briefly, so you
Okay.
can...
So, one of the properties of the cat claw is that it actually multiplies the damage of the claw in the opposite hand. So, on top of Yang getting levels as well as the cat claw, it really amplifies the amount of damage he does. Unfortunately, you get the cat claw, you fight Lugay, and then he sacrifices himself to punch some machines. So he's only superpowered for one real fight. And then you'll notice the runners actually dupe the Cat Claw after picking it up. And what that does is later on, when we pick up Edge, equipping him with 2 Cat Claws will actually give him a 10 agility boost. And what that does is it actually allows us to run from almost all back attacks throughout the rest of the run. And so it saves so much time, and it makes things so much less stressful having the ability to do that. Oh, rivers. Oh dear. Making me sweat a little bit.
Chimera.
No, but a bad enough back attack to make it interesting.
Yeah. Potential wipe. Probably wasn't gonna be one, but potential could have been one. And unfortunately, you do have to just walk all the way out. So all the danger that they had coming in still exists on their way out. Even more so, really, because you lost one extra member.
So now we have a fun little cutscene with our boy Sid making his triumphant return. And one of the interesting things about this game is that it was actually coded into the game where Sid is... when Sid leaves the party, his data is actually saved away. And they'll usually only do that if a party member is meant to rejoin at some point. And so it's quite possible that they had every intention of Sid rejoining the party right here. But I guess in the final cuts, it never actually happened. So Sid's data actually gets saved away, and then nothing's ever done with it. Except, you know, if you're fighting Zeromus in the 80% route.
Why is data saved?
So our good buddy Sid here, you know, just jumping off airships, blowing himself up. Everyday Sid things.
Yeah, so unfortunately, even though everyone was around Lugay at the same time, between, well, really just bad luck and whatnot, it spreads a little bit bigger again. But I'm sure you'll hear the same thing about 4 gajillion times today. No one's in a place where it's like, yeah, I'm definitely out of the race. Everybody's in a spot where it's totally feasible. Sid doing the Sid. Blowing himself up.
So we're the next upcoming dungeon after a little bit of cutscenes and some excuse me. Sorry. After some running around is another great equalizer of bad back attacks.
Yeah. It is the last portion for bats. But not only bats, it's the last portion of dungeon where back attacks are a thing. There's always a couple of exceptions in a couple of the future dungeons where one encounter pack of some kind you can't run away from, but everything else, once you get Edge and 2 Cat Claws, you are good to go. It just makes bad back attacks in the cave just that much more worse to me anyway. Because you're literally right there. It's like you couldn't have waited to give me that back attack like 20 seconds from now when I could run away from it. No, I gotta have it now. And you can get 6 bats in this cave too, so it's that's a long time loss.
But before we get to that cave, coming up we have a fight where they'll fight a monster in a box to get a weapon called the Drain Spear, which is actually a pretty terrible weapon to actually equip. It has high attack power and it actually heals Kane every time he swings, but at the cost of I think it's like -5 strength and agility, and it's just utterly, the stat drops are so bad that it's basically worse than any other weapon that Kane could possibly equip. However, with the ability to dupe items and the fact that it does have high base attack power, it's actually used as a thrown weapon for edge. We just dupe 255 of them and start chucking Drain Spears at everything we run across.
Ooh, Rivers, no. They're really a bop. And the way to get through this encounter is that Titan summon, so that's gonna set him back. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, he's gotta be careful.
Now he does.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. This is bad. Probably is going to want to dump a heal on Cecil too.
Yeah, he did.
Good. Gotta get that cover on now. Yikes. He could potentially fall right into 4th if I keeps going this way. All the while, puwexil is rolling through. No problem, no problem. He's gonna stop by and buy some ice stuff, because wouldn't you know, the next boss is the fire elemental guy.
So definitely unfortunate for Rivers there. I'm not sure if that was just a mistake of not having Riddy at high enough health. I know he parried on Cecil, which when you parry on Cecil, he stops covering everybody. And so that's just an unfortunate oversight. But he's alive.
Yeah, they made it. He made it. And as silly as a pit stop as this seems, ooh, nice bats. Those drains are going to be the prominent damage dealing tool, so totally worth it. Ooh, nice spectating. I guess puwexil is a new Kobahi, huh? Oh, and a strike for a 6-pack for no cash, dude. I almost had a heart attack.
Yeah, when you see that text box start to draw during a bat or a Mount Ordeals spirit fight,
Yeah, dude. Alright!
Oh, baby.
You're welcome.
Oh yeah. My body.
So here you can, if you didn't see it before, you can see it now. Vampire is just this super slow, super laggy thing that they all have to get through.
The bats are real. I thought I was going to catch up on puwexil as well, because I only get 2 encounters on the way to Edge, but alas. I thought I was going to catch up. No.
I still got it, man. I still got it.
Oh.
Oh no, dude.
You mean,
No.
oh yeah, dude.
I mean, I don't have someone hitting me with the bat right now, so I guess it's cool.
Those were the only 2 encounters in here that I get.
That's brutal, dude.
That's... oh man.
been there, done that.
This is incredible. Actually, I lied. I get 3 encounters. And it's a surprise attack as well. Oh. Heck.
No one deserves that, dude. I'm sorry.
Oh, man, I am spent. All right, we've made it. We in there. The rivers has probably overtaken me. After all that.
Yes, yes. And no cash is like literally like 5 seconds behind you.
Nice. Nice. Welcome to FF4, ladies and gents.
Yes, sir. Back attacks making himself known right before they become almost nothing. All skill, baby.
Absolutely.
So funny we bring that up. Puwexil runs into like the one of the 2 back attacks you can't run away from the tower.
For the fans.
Or the fans. Like for example, there you saw the surprise, but he's able to get away. So the only time you lose is from the text box, not from getting hit. For example, there you saw the surprise. But that should be the case from here on out. Now that we got Edge with 2 cat claws. Again, just it's all about how maybe there's 1 or 2 encounter packs per dungeon that you can't run from, but everything else is golden. And we won't be using smoke because the animation still takes forever, and with cat claws you can still run away from it.
Does he even have it yet, or?
Probably not. That will come in handy at the very, very end, but no, we're going to use classic LNR buttons, friends. You basically just carry on from here, unless you get like super owned, because you will get healed before the boss anyway. It's all good. River is also getting the encounter you can't run away from, so let's get Roth and no cash back in there, man. Yeah, now Roth is like 8 steps behind Rivers or something like that. Same encounter, same strike first. Coincidence? Probably. Puwexil definitely still hanging on to his lead that he's had for quite a while now. The time he's been ahead may have changed over the course of the run, but he's been ahead quite a while.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting if you look at the splits. He went from 1st to 4th to 1st.
Yeah, you're right. It's pretty interesting.
So it was alluded to earlier, but the upcoming boss we have here is Rubicante, and it's kind of similar to Valvalis in a way. It's definitely a fight where you do not want to make any execution mistakes, and it's also a fight where you're dealing out a ton of damage in an attempt to kill him super duper fast. But before we fight Rubicante, we have to beat up Edge's parents. They won't let him stay out past curfew, so we gotta make sure they're suppressed. And so, really, this fight right here, you don't actually have to do anything. It's just a scripted fight where they cast Fire 1, Fire 2 a bunch of times, and then there's a bunch of dialogue. And so, because of that, because of the long animations of the fire spells and the dialogue takes a long time, this is basically the final time in the game where you'll organize your inventory for the remainder of the game, try and clean everything up to where you have everything you want near the top, and then all the junk that you've accumulated throughout the run near the bottom. And you have plenty of time to organize as much as you want to. And really, you almost have too much time. You're just kind of like, okay, where do I want to put stuff? Do I want to put this here? Oh, no, I'm going to move to this slot. No, I'm going to move to this slot. And just, it's kind of funny.
That feel when you're too good at inventory management and you got nothing to do.
Yeah, and so the Rubicante fight can actually be pretty nasty sometimes. There's a potential where if Cecil has, I think it's mostly based off of Cecil's level, but for whatever reason, there's a certain pattern of Rubicante where he just like goes crazy and makes it super difficult to do anything to him, and really complicates the fight. Ideally, you're going to see Kane doing 5,000 to 6,000 damage per jump. Cecil's going to be hitting for about 2k. Radia's going to be casting Ice 2 for about 2.5k. And Edge is going to be throwing Drain Spears for about 2k as well. And so
I can't even see my inventory.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
That Chupon sabotage, man. Ruby is actually nice and straightforward. You can kill him pretty dang quick too, especially with some good damage rolls from Kane.
Yeah, a good Ruby fight goes really quickly. A bad Ruby fight goes downhill really quickly.
Oh yeah. Bad enough Ruby fight and he'd straight die. It seems ridiculous that could happen, but oh sure, definitely can. But for the most part, you follow a trend. You just get cut with everything. Ice swords, ice spears, drain spears, ice spells, and whatever.
puwexil already threw, so it looks like a good fight for him.
Yeah. And you got it down well, too, if you're going to be rocking Ice 2s with Rydia, because if you happen to cast it off timing and you get him with his cape covering him, it actually looks like we got that stuff. Damn.
Yeah, so the gimmick with this fight is when Ruby has his cape up and he's not showing that amazingly sexy leg, he's actually absorbing all magic damage, and so you kind of have to time any magic cast you want to do against him for when his cape is going to be open, and that's really hard to do, especially with the setup that we have. At least getting one before the first time the cape closes. So a good fight from Rivers as well. Kane dropping the ball on No Cash's side though. 4,800 is a really low damage roll for him.
Especially we can do like over 6,000 like he did for Roth right there. Solid for Roth. Could have been a bit better. Pretty good. But yeah, then the glare on Kane is pretty awful. Kane's your top damage dealer, so even his low damage rolls are twice as high as anybody else's. That's unfortunate. But he got the kill anyway. 2 people dead. Interesting.
Saw a chat question about if Edge dying matters. No, I need to revive him afterwards because Edge needs to be alive for me to get the Cat Claw boost for running away, but it doesn't really matter as far as the experience round.
Should be solid from here on out, and then we'll have a little bit of downtime before things get super duper interesting.
Yeah, and the reason there's so much downtime at this particular point in the game is you'll remember the runners all, after the Golbez fight, they all warped back and grabbed that crystal, and what that does is it'll actually allow them to skip the entire sealed cave dungeon, because the game only checks if you have the darkness crystal in your inventory on that one particular cell as you're walking in, and then it triggers the next event in the chain, and so you don't actually have to go in and fight the boss or anything. You just walk in there, the event triggers, and you walk out. And then so there's an airship cutscene, a Kane betrayal cutscene, and then an airship cutscene. It's like airship cutscene, the video game.
One thing I do definitely appreciate about Excalibur Route is you've actually got a dungeon to break up the airship renovations.
So there's actually, as puwexil mentioned, there's a different No 64 route that's, I guess, a little bit safer but slightly slower, where you can actually skip getting the Drain Spear and spend the 5 minutes it takes to go get the Excalibur, and then dupe that and use that as a thrown weapon. And that actually, the Excalibur does like almost twice the damage the Drain Spear does. However, because of the time it takes to get, it ends up being almost worth it, but not quite. But it really makes the end game fights, which are really difficult with a Drain Spear, really difficult to execute with a Drain Spear. It makes them a little bit easier.
Yeah, I always recommend newer runners interested in picking up this game to start with Excalibur, just because of how much easier it makes to actually finish runs.
And ultimately, it's not that big of a difference if you play well, and you know it's probably like a minute difference at the end of the day. The only reason it's not worth it is because after you pick it up, there's literally 3 bosses left in the entire run at the earliest point you can get it. So if Excalibur was more accessible earlier on in the game, then it would 100% be worth it. So I hope you guys like airship cutscenes, because there's a lot of them.
It's nice for the runners, anyway. It's not an overly long break, but you don't have to advance the text yourself, so at least stretch a little bit or something. But yeah, as mentioned before, as it turns out, skipping a whole dungeon makes it so there's a lot of cutscenes. But you know, it's no Thamasa or anything. It's all good.
When's Thamasa skip?
I guess when we
Question of the
have
century.
any percent no sketch, yes 52, no CW.
It's a pretty simple key here, thankfully. You know, you walk on that tile, game checks if you have a dark crystal. If you do, it's like, oh, cutscene time. Let's do it. Well, you know, lots of things can happen, but of course the hope is that everybody here kicks some major booty.
So we've got a little bit of trekking around to do after this. Gotta go see the Moon Man, gotta go grab some elixirs, and then the next upcoming boss battle is easily the hardest battle in the entire run. But before that, there's the grind fight too, which both the grind fight and then the ensuing boss battle are 2 fights where I would say easily the most execution heavy part of the No 64 run by a ways. But we can talk about that more as we get closer.
Yeah, it's the scariest part, not only because it's very difficult. I mean, I guess they tie it into the same reason, but they're very execution heavy. Yes, of course, it's an RPG, it's a battle, there's some variance in RNG, but at the end of the day, it's still ultimately like all on you. You might have to react to something you don't want to react to, but you don't have a choice. You have to execute and make the right decisions all very, very fast, or else you'll die pretty much. And so it's super scary. And it's probably easily the biggest obstacle for anybody that's new. Not necessarily completing it, but you want to do this fast and right. It takes a lot of practice, I would say. And even then, it doesn't guarantee anything. But we're not there yet. So get some downtime where you get to think about how scary that fight is. Isn't that cool?
Yep. Gotta love the time to overthink everything.
Flying an airship, also hard.
So as mentioned before, the cat claws really are a huge benefit to the run. Previously, when you'd go to the moon, you'd have to like make sure everybody was always healed, and then even then the wrong back attack would just end you. And there's still one bad back attack on the moon. It's 2 red worms. If they decide to hit the wrong people, then that could possibly end your run right there. But other than that, the having the cat claws on edge allows you to run away from everything else. Whereas in the past, before we would grab the cat claws, we would just have to sit there and pray that we didn't get a back attack, and when we did get a back attack, that everybody survived, and then you'd have to heal basically after every fight, and it was just a nightmare. So the cat claws are a saving grace of this run for sure.
Are the red worm battles inside or outside caves?
Both.
Inside.
Both.
I don't think you can get them outside unless somebody knows better.
Okay. Alright.
You can get them outside, but it's like the super rare encounter.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever actually seen them outside.
I hadn't seen them outside until they hit me outside and I died.
Well, there we go. I'm gonna grab some safety saves just because I'm a bit off step route. Like that.
One of the ships gets priorities, Crow. I think it's not the big whale.
Speak of the devil.
There's the back attack right there.
A
Which
miss
is
and hit
fine.
Cecil. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
The scary part would be a surprise where your boys are in the front. Let's see this naming way cave, man.
So you may notice, you see Roth is going to the Naming Way Cave first, and you might notice the other runners have not done that yet. Depending on what the step route is, it's basically, you can either choose to go before you get Fusoya or after, depending on what's ideal for the route. And so it's actually pretty cool because it's like a little bit of variance in the route. So you'll see Roth, it'll look like he's a little bit behind them, which, when in reality he doesn't have to shop again.
Really had to work to get into that cave there. Like 4 encounters on that short walk.
Yeah, so it looks like Rivers and puwexil are going to be going after they get Fusoya, whereas Nocash and Roth both are buying elixirs early.
And there goes the rest of their money, 50 elixirs.
Yep, casual 5 million drop, no big deal.
No big deal.
And so elixirs will be used as the primary healing mechanism throughout the rest of the run. There's really nothing better in the game, so why not?
Yeah. You won't use them all unless things go badly, which hopefully they don't. But obviously you want them just in case. It's not like you're gonna sit there and be like, alright, I need 27 elixirs, you know? Just spend all your money. You got nothing else you need to buy, so may as well.
Alright, so we go to the moon, pick up the moon man, find out Cecil's father is also a moon man. That makes Cecil half moon man, half dragon? Or something?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just sad that he doesn't get the epic beard that Fusoya has.
Yeah. He's got the hair, though. If he just shaved his head and glued it onto his face, it'd be good.
Ah, I see, I see.
And that's my plan in real life. Alright. We got our boys. We got our elixirs soon. And we're gonna be ready. Stuff is about to get real, folks.
So every step in the Naming Way cave actually counts towards your step route. You actually notice puwexil had to chase him all the way up to the top, and then he actually had to exit out to stay on step route. So it's definitely an option. You gotta pay attention to how many steps you're taking as you're trying to track down that super fast NPC. And it can be a real pain. So here we are, back to Earth.
Giant itself is nothing special, it's another dungeon, but it is where this quote-unquote grind fight exists, and where the Fiends fight is, which is the hardest boss in the game. So it is a scary place in general. And this is where things are really gonna get crazy here. And we gotta see if our guys can pull this stuff off, rather. Or if nerves get a hold of them, or what, who knows?
I wanna do what now?
Nerves, not nerms. Yeah, they've gone a long time and a lot of content in this game without really leveling up, except for on the way, but that cannot stand any longer. Levels are necessary to kill the Fiends and Zeromus. That has to happen, so they will do that. And of course, this is a speed run, so you want to do that as efficiently and as quickly as you can. So they will make use of a specific encounter to get a bunch of experience. And not only that, they're going to put it on one person. That person is going to be Edge. We'll see what's up with that a little bit later. But the levels do need to be a thing, so you've been referencing a grind fight. It is one encounter where they're going to gain, 30 levels or something ridiculous. Unfortunately, it just has to happen. So it's a few minute endeavor that is absolutely mandatory. But it used to be a lot longer, so hey, whatever. Also, unfortunately, that encounter is very, 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 very specific. So it used to be that you hope to God that you ran into that encounter very, very quickly in the room that it starts in, so that you don't lose any time. But we're past that for the most part. There's a step route now, right? It's been minimizing encounters all run, and what it's going to do also is guarantee that you run into that encounter, and it's basically out the window unless someone's off step route.
Yeah, so 2.5 hours of managing your steps comes down to basically this one moment of finding the correct fight. And so it can be a little harrowing. It's really frustrating to be like ahead of your splits, and you're like, yeah, I got this great run going, and then like you make a mistake in your step route, and then you just can't. There's literally nothing you can do to recover. Sometimes you can be like, okay, if I take 5 extra steps here or something, I can actually get it. And so it's like, it can be a pretty big mental crunch trying to maintain getting the proper fight.
But it's absolutely worth it. Annoying, yes, but not more annoying than being on good pace and not being able to find the fight that you need. So it was a necessary evil for sure.
Notice most of the runners put themselves on mute, so it's definitely a point in the run where you want to have full concentration, no distractions.
Yeah, absolutely. You won't be hearing from the runners probably until after the Fiends are over, and then again you probably won't hear from them until they finish the game.
Yeah. So Vic touched on it a little bit, but the grind fight, the reason why we're able to get so much experience is because there's a glitch in this game where if you use a life item or cast a life spell on an enemy that has 0 vitality, they are revived, but they're revived with 0 HP, so they instantly die. And so killing an enemy and then throwing a life on it actually counts as killing an additional enemy. And so we're able to, ideally, we're able to kill 3 enemies per party round. And it's going to take 15 of these enemies total to get the levels that we need.
The fight's very execution heavy. The goal is to, kind of like Valvalis, you want to be in the same cycle over and over and over again. You don't want it to mess up anywhere. And a big part of, for viewers out there, if you want to know how well they're doing, you should never see a dragon cast fire or flame or whatever the heck it's called past its first turn at the very beginning of the battle. From there, if it's set up correctly, they're going to revive, kill the dragon, and nothing else is going to happen. They're going to do that 5 times. They'll go by fairly quickly.
Yeah, this battle's all about optimizing the formation, very specific turn order. Yeah, and even if you do everything proper, if sometimes the ATB can just, decide, oh, I'm going to take Rydia's going to take her turn early, and then you're just like, nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And not to mention, you might be pretty well practiced in specific scenarios, but you might get the battle in a back attack or something like that, and that changes how you set things up. You might not be as confident with it, something like that. So like River to the strike first, which means he's probably going to parry through, I guess, and then start it up. Puwexil's starting his fight right now. Roth has a back attack, so their fights are going to look all a little different in terms of starting it, not in terms of grinding out the battles. But every decision has to be on point. Every input has to be on time, whether it's immediate or you have to lag a little bit or what have you, or else all the sequence gets put out of whack and you actually, at best, you go slower, and at worst, you die. So it's just one of those things. It's a difficult fight to get through for sure. But we're going to see this general trend. Puwexil's already started it, so you're going to throw 2 lives on a dead body, which gets you 2 more kills for free. You're going to hit the alert to summon another one. You're going to weaken it. You're going to kill it. You're going to drop 2 lives on it. And that will get you 3 dragons per round, as Neerrm already said, for a total of 15 after 5 turns. And then you're going to pour all of that XP into Edge only. So one thing you're noticing here is that Rivers got flamed, and that's probably going to happen every time. So his fight's just going to be a tad slower.
Yeah,
But
so
the
all four.
important thing. Sorry.
So I would say all 4 runners getting their fights, so they all maintain step route properly for the 2.5 hours, and that's not easy to do. So shout outs to everybody, especially in the marathon setting.
Absolutely. This is not an easy thing to accomplish at all.
Looks like Ross running into a little bit of trouble. Looks like Edge is dead, so he'll have to do a little bit of recovery here.
He should be fine, but obviously he's gonna lose out some time, and his turn sequence might be bad too. We'll see. Everybody else seems to be getting double lives just fine.
Looks like Rivers is having a little bit of a struggle. Not seeing the fire, but not getting the double life either. It looks like puwexil is having a pretty good time of it, and it looks like No Cash is doing really well as well.
This puwexil's fight's good. Rivers started off okay. He was getting the doubles, but I guess it got caught up somewhere.
Yeah, Rivers had a strike first, which is probably the rarest of the encounters. So being prepared for a strike first, maybe wasn't ready for it.
Maybe. So puwexil's already done, basically, so you're going to see him kill everybody off, because all those 15 dragons are going to be siphoned over to Edge, and Edge is going to get to level 48 or something like that, something ridiculous. And that's twofold. Edge is the damage dealer, you want him to be high level, but it also means Kane's coming back, and he's getting that same amount of XP too, so it buffs him up as well.
Alright. Well done from puwexil.
That was a great fight from puwexil,
Yeah.
for sure. No Cash is looking like he's running into the same troubles as Roth here. Rivers is faring better, so his was slow, but nothing like overly bad happened.
Correct. And puwexil's actually going to go save for marathon safety, because like I said, the next fight is pretty nasty.
Yes, this is a smart move to make.
Which is probably breaking his heart, because I'm pretty sure he's on PB pace right now.
Yeah, he might be. And it wrecks whatever is left of his step route, but Fiends are just super dangerous. In a no reset situation, race situation, you have to do this. You have to. You'd be really stupid not to.
I don't know, man. I think if I was on PB pace, I'd go for it, and everybody would hate me.
You know, maybe it'd be one thing, but I don't know. I can't imagine doing that in a relay where you have to hand off. So we're like, just me playing FF4, and that's one thing. But...
Right, for sure. I don't think Rivers saved. I don't know if Rivers saved.
He did. He did.
So this is the 4 Fiends fight. Looks like puwexil does it slightly different. He's just gonna fire 3 off the get-go and transform him early. So there's a trick to this fight where if you reflect a magic spell, it doesn't trigger the transformations. And the transformation between Rubicante to Kainazo, they actually heal for like 50k HP. So this boss in a typical playthrough actually has like 110,000 HP, but you can get through the first. Hedge is dead for puwexil. Definitely going to complicate things.
That's why we save.
Yes, it is. And he's not going to be able to pick him up either because Ruby's just spamming spells like crazy. So this is he's gonna have to do a lot of improv right here.
You could feasibly fall all the way behind right here.
He sure can. And
Like,
another
even
thing
without
that's
dying.
really unfortunate about this is, oh, that's right, he can life too. That's true. Another thing that's unfortunate about this is glare damage is split between party members, and so with only 2 people alive, glare does so much more damage.
This is a really tight fight where your job is to do enough damage, then reflect damage to put him close to where he would switch, and then kill him before he switches. But you got to keep track of damage, sort of. Most of the time, that's by just counting your turns, but the damage of certain spells does matter. You really do have to pay attention to that. Puwexil's strat differs because he found it more consistent, but Edge dying obviously throws all of that out.
Yeah, there's really not anything he could do about Edge dying either. That's just took terrible damage rolls.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got an idea of where he is on damage though, so we'll see. River's going for the kill right here. I honestly was paying more attention to Puwexil's, but ideally Ruby dies right here with this dart. Yeah, alright, Rivers is through. Well done, sir.
Rivers takes the lead here because this fight went fine.
I think Puwexil right behind, and then No Cash
is there too.
Creeping up too.
So that's a really, really tough hurdle that two of our runners have gotten through. I'm sure they're pretty relieved. Even Puwexil, yeah, it didn't go the way he wanted it to, but he's through. So that's good news. Roth's fight was basically totally on pace, except Rydia got bot before she fired Tude, which is not going to like destroy the fight by any means.
Yeah, that's like the best thing that can happen, I guess. No Cash got through with relatively no problems. I think that fight went according to plan for him.
This fight looked pretty clean, so no problem. Well, for CPU, pretty simple. You keep just the three guys alive. You dart real quick with Defender because it heals, and then you queue up a Meteor. In the meantime, while Meteor is casting, you chuck a couple of Drain Spears to make sure that the Meteor kills it. Otherwise, you're gonna get Globe 99, which is awful. If the CPU is alive and the other things are not. But River's clean.
And
Puwexil's clean as well.
Alright, now I can breathe easier.
Yeah. That was a rough Fiends fight, it looked
Yeah,
like.
with the Edge getting bopped, but we made it.
So Roth is getting through, but things didn't just go the way he wanted it to, so he's behind.
Yeah, rough grind fight for Roth.
In a bad place. Yeah, it really was. Unfortunately, he fell all the way behind during that fight. No Cash is going to get through CPU, no problem here too. So what's our spread right now? 2 minutes?
Yeah, between Rivers and Roth, it looks like it's about a minute and a half. And there you go, Roth is through.
Huzzah!
You made it.
Everyone's made it.
Everybody
awesome.
made it.
Nice.
Well done.
This is a great race for sure.
And so there's only one boss left, the final boss, but it's a long walk to get there. And depending on what encounters they get in the final descent, it's really anybody's race because Roth, who is the furthest behind right now, if he gets like all behemoths, like he can just run away. But like if you run into like evil masks or if you run into red dragons and you have to stop and heal, so it's still with how close it is, it's anybody's race. And not to mention that Zeromus, the fight can go any which way, depending on who he decides to nuke in the beginning or anything. So really, this race is still completely up in the air. And puwexil, I wanted to ask, prior to saving, were you on PB pace?
Potentially. I don't have my like PB splits up or anything, but I definitely was at Lugay.
Yeah.
And I probably was still at Rubicante too, because I think it was a 217 and my PB is a high 216.
Yeah, I was wondering, is that save a heartbreaker or what?
I had to do it though, I've had too much stuff go wrong with the Fiends lately.
Yeah, for sure, especially in a marathon setting. Says the guy who was like, oh, why did he save? I'm just kidding. So headed down to the final descent, we have Rivers in first place. And then puwexil is probably about 20 to 30 seconds behind him. puwexil had a late split, though. And then No Cash, 50 seconds behind Rivers. And then Roth, about 50 seconds behind No Cash. So, super close race, 100%. This is great.
And we should be seeing better times from everybody than the best time from the relay, probably, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the best time in the relay has been so far.
3:17 is what Roth got last year, which I'm pretty sure is the best we've seen in a relay.
Yeah, and I think it's 12:30. It's like a mid 12 is what the combined best relay time so far is, I believe. I know it's in the SDA forum thread for the last one.
Yeah, since last relay, a lot of things have happened. Step round and whatnot has changed this game and cut off minutes for sure. FF5 route has undergone some changes a lot lately, and very feasible now for everybody to get under 4 hours, which was not the case a year ago, or even really more than a month or two ago. FF6 is probably more of the same, to be honest. There is a better route, but it's ridiculously risky.
It's not marathon safe in the slightest.
You're not going to see it because you're probably just going to die. So that's actually really cool. Not enough to put someone under 12, but you get really, really close if things go super well for all three runners. Oh, you will in fact be seeing it. I had a feeling that might happen. I know my man Fathlo has some giant balls, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did it. I know that I won't be doing it. Magus probably won't be doing it. Lynn probably won't be doing it either, but maybe he will. I don't know. I'm not going to jump too much into 5 because that's going to have its own run with its own commentary. Just that it became a lot more consistent, and you get to, and there were some routing differences to make things more efficient. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, what pleases me the most is that FF5 by Western runners is kind of its own animal now. It's not just basically Japanese glitchless strats, only with a poorer understanding of how they work and unlimited money.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, so we are into the final descent. The first 8 floors of the final descent, you get all normal attacks. There's no surprise attacks, no back attacks. However, there are a couple encounters that will waste you time. One of those is the Fatal Eye, the other is the Blue Dragon. Blue Dragon just gets a turn and hits you. Fatal Eye actually sits there and casts Count on 2 party members. Really kind of annoying. Just basically time wasters, both of them. And then once they get to, after the save room and into the final descent, as I mentioned earlier, there's Red Dragon's Evil Masks, and they can waste time. So Once again, a super close race so far, and still anybody's game going into the last boss.
If you're curious about FF5, definitely stick around. It will look a lot different than what you saw on it in anything previously. It's pretty cool. Mostly safe and definitely a lot faster. In the meantime, we still got FF4, and we're at the last calm before the last storm here. We just got to get to the dungeon. Zeromus is another quote-unquote script that might seem easy to follow, but you got to be ready to execute, ready to react if something goes wrong. So it can be a scary fight. It's not as scary as many people make it out to be, but it's definitely something you don't come in like half blind or whatever. You got to get it down.
So in the event the runners do get trolled by the Zeromus, the safety save is about 15 minutes back. So unfortunately there's just nothing closer, and just the fact that the end cutscene prior to the boss battle takes so long. And so hopefully that doesn't happen. I see Rivers is actually coming up on the final save.
Yeah. It's just rough because the fight itself is not short, and it's already a 5.5 minute cutscene just to get to the fight, and that's already another few minutes to get to that cutscene. So it's unfortunate. We did have one unfortunate occurrence happen last year that needs to not repeat itself this year. So depending on their step route, assuming it exists still, is the one time or a couple times you might even see the smoke spell. Because if they do happen to run into a red dragon, it is absolutely safer and probably a tad faster, even if it's not though, to use smoke to run away instead of actually holding LNR. If you hold LNR, that dragon hits you like, I don't know, 4 times, 3 times, something like that. And you probably have to go to the menu and deal. But if you smoke, you get hit once, I believe. Good. And for Roth here, you're seeing why Fatal Eyes are crappy, because you gotta sit through that animation. But I think if you LR that, he casts it like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, do we have a plan set up to get Swed going on FF5, by the way? Because I imagine he's probably not going to be on the call.
Let me double check. He's talking to Swed right now on Discord, so hopefully it's getting going.
Should we just call out when we're done then, or should we type something in the chat?
Yeah, well, I guess if Swed's not gonna be in the chat, then obviously.
I guess you should call it out, and Neerrm should be ready to just type something, maybe.
Do both.
If you're curious about the handoff, it'll look just ever so slightly different. So our goal here is to transition as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So the game ends on the final killing hit on Zeromus. Once you hear and see that flash, he's done, or the person's done. And at that point in time, the next runner for FF5 here should be hitting the new game. Neerrm will have to switch streams over, so you might miss a tad amount at the beginning. Luckily, it doesn't matter. FF5 opens with a long cutscene anyway, so you won't actually be missing anything. But if you're curious, that's how it's going to go. We're going to try to just cut through as quick as we possibly can. Alright, so we got Rivers. He is starting the cutscene. Puwexil, a couple more rooms.
What's the
No
space on, guy?
cash. No cash is a couple rooms behind as well.
Rivers unmutes at the last moment.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Caught me off guard, man.
I know. And I see our FF5 guys are jumping in the channel, so they're going to be ready to go.
Alright, I think I'm gonna mute the call for Zeromus, but I'll leave my mic unmuted so I can still call out when I'm done.
I don't think you can actually mute the call and then mute the mic.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
Yeah,
Well, just unmute it when you're done, it's fine.
I may have caught up to Puwexil. Let's see. I think I did. Unless he doesn't get an encounter.
You're a tad behind, but you're right behind him. Probably
Yeah,
like
I'm
seconds.
behind by one encounter. He went in and I got an encounter and that's it, so...
Yeah, I think that save I took at the Giant really messed with the descent for me. Was I the only person that did that, or...?
I think
I
so.
saved as well.
Oh, I did not.
I will save here.
Alright, so Roth has one more room to get through, and everybody else is somewhere in the cutscene. So this is it right here. We'll be getting to that Zeromus fight oh so shortly.
What seed did Rivers have today?
42.
So everyone had 42, 42, and 44, and I had 52.
Yeah, so all runners within 2 minutes of each other going into this fight, so... Gotta love that. So let's go ahead and say when you finish FF4 runners, if you can just say your team member name and then go. So like when, for example, Rivers, when you're done, be like, okay, Chrono Kirby, go! And then he'll go, so on and so forth. Just make sure you,
Can I
you tell say
spam
the
done
name.
in chat?
Sorry, what was that, Roth?
What I can do is I can spam done in chat for a bit. So I
Okay.
might take my headphones off.
Alright.
But I'll then say Zin go basically, and
Yeah, that works.
sweet. If Zin's okay with that, then we'll do that.
Alright, boys, see you on the other side. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody.
Good luck, man.
Good luck, everybody.
Just as a quick aside, your commentary team will be changing to, I believe, Deln and eLmaGus for FF5. I'm sure they'll be talking about their runners when it's their time, but yeah, just figured I'd throw that out there, just so you're aware. Otherwise, yep, we'll be talking to you about Zeromus coming up soon.
Yeah, I think we're at least close enough discrepancy where it'll be a pretty smooth transition. Like everybody's within 2 minutes of each other, unless of course the sadness happens.
Yeah.
The Big Bang of Big Bangs.
Zeromus is another one of those fights where you gotta know what you're supposed to do, and you gotta know what Zeromus is gonna do, because that will dictate what you're supposed to do. He follows specific patterns, And as long as people perform their actions correctly, then you're, for the most part, good. There's a couple of things Zeromus can do to troll you that will change things up. But for the most part, you're going to be alright as long as you do the right thing. From there, it really just becomes all about damage variance and things like that. But you'll see a little bit of setup. Cecil's going to use the crystal to change him over, and then they're going to queue up a berserk, I guess a bursk, on Kane. Because Kane, all he really needs to do at the beginning is just wail on Zeromus over and over and over again. And Edge is going to be throwing Drain Spears as your primary damage. One thing they will set up in the very beginning is some sort of magical attack on Zeromus. In this case, it should be a Dancing Dagger from Rydia. And that's going to bring up a nuke, but for whatever reason will also dumb down Zeromus' first Big Bang, which is going to allow Cecil to live through it. The main thing here is we just have to see someone not Cecil get nuked. I mean, it's not a deal breaker if he does get nuked, but you really don't want to see that regardless. So Rivers getting the Rosa nuke is actually super good. That allows Edge to just keep throwing, and you can use Cecil to heal through that first Big Bang that's going to be coming up shortly for him. So far, so good for him. You're going to see puwexil set up the same thing here, so we'll see how it goes. So take a look at the damage. That damage roll is 1100 for Cecil there, and it normally would have been probably 500 to 1000 more than that. But now he lives and can heal. And from there, it's just all about remembering Zeromus' cycles, knowing when you can afford to throw darts or when you actually need to heal, because he might cast a different spell instead. Otherwise, you'll see a lot of the same patterns: shake, Big Bang, shake, Big Bang, black hole, nuke, that sort of thing. And as long as you know where you are in the pattern, you can make the right decisions. Let's look at puwexil. Puwexil's Kane gets nuked. No big deal. You just queue up a heal for him, so you lose, that amount of time, but it's not a big deal. Say for no cash, his Edge gets nuked, so he has to heal that. Oh, were his turns off or slow? Because he got Big Bang before he could heal. Maybe he just went for it. Made a slight mistake, but Edge lives! Oh my goodness. That could have been all kinds of bad if Edge went down right there, but he lives. So a little bit of damage lost for no cash, but he survived, so he's fine. He's fine. Yeah, we're probably gonna see like 3 10s, 3 11s from everybody. That's a great pace for every single person.
That's ridiculous.
That's actually really insane. Yeah. See, the last nuke for Roth is on Rosa, so everybody's safe. And again, unless someone makes an input mistake somewhere, we're good. There is that unfortunate circumstance that can happen. I'm not even going to bring it up. But besides that, yeah, everybody's in there.
I'm a little nervous for puwexil right now. I guess he's going to get Kane's turn, never mind. I thought he was somewhere else in the fight. That's what I get for watching multiple fights.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fine. When you know what Zeromus' actions are, uh-oh. Man. Wow. So that's exactly what could happen. And it happened last year. Oh no. That is a setback here for Rivers and Team NightBat. And that was a Big Bang troll. You just cannot control that outside of grinding extra levels and making sure he has 4 gajillion HP, which you're not going to do. And his last save was outside, so it will take some more time as well. But let's go ahead and focus on the others, I suppose. I didn't bring it up. This has happened, I think, every single relay. If someone gets owned like that, it's ridiculous. There's a little bit of variance in Big Bang damage, and it can do over 2400, and there's just nothing you can do about it. Like, that is not, you know, a choke of any kind. It's just, there's nothing you can do. So at this point, folks, you're looking out for Meteo. Once he starts spamming Meteo on the party, you know he's in the last phase and he's 2 darts away. So that's what you're looking for if you're wondering if something's almost done. Good speed game, indeed.
This is gonna be pretty close.
This is super close. It's unbelievable.
Uh-oh. Puwexil's in trouble.
Is he gonna get big banged into Meteo?
I think so.
You really do have to watch how you're doing, because he will spam Meteo quick and you might not get a heal off. You might not. He did. It's okay.
He got the elixir in between the two.
Yeah. So that's a Meteo for Puwexil.
He needs to
good.
dodge, I think.
Yeah. Or he'll have to elixir with edge. No, he's good. He's fine.
Alright, go Swed.
There you go. GG. That looks like just barely a 313. So that's super good. We'll go Swed. What number? Ah, I'll just look.
Alright, let me see. Sorry, this is a lot of inputs for me right here. Alright, mute his audio. Alright.
It's about 1.5 minutes off my PB, anyone's curious.
That's pretty awesome, to be honest. Okay, that's a Meteo for No Cash. And for Ross, so No Cash and Ross are basically neck and neck here.
Okay, go Arias Baylor. Or Dragon, right? Time. Sorry, time.
Okay, GG No
And
Cash.
I'm done as well.
GG Ross.
Sinfogo!
These were great runs from everybody. Congratulations, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
What time did Rivers get?
Rivers got the unfortunate high damage to Big Bang.
Ooh.
Alright, boys. I gotta take off for a couple hours. So good luck, everybody. I'll see you in a little bit.
No worries, man. Have a good one.
And I will see people in chat until I'm back on the call for FF6 commentary in about 4 hours or so.
No worries, GG Puwexil. Well done.
Good game, everybody. I am
Yes.
also off for the day. I'm going to work. So, good game, everybody. Thanks for having me. I will see you guys later.